Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, all those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel on the countered by its tail. Your third fiance didn't show. Well, sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and you're always glad they came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Well, you get out of bed and the coffee's dead, the morning isn't looking bright. You shrink right off to Europe and he doesn't even write. Your girlfriend says she's not a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. You wanna be where you can see troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
I've had enough. Oh, hi.
Well,
Okay.
that's good to know, Achilles.
I've had enough. Enough with this debate here. I'm done. I'm out. You guys do it on your own.
We're just starting. We're just starting. You can't beat enough yet.
Oh, so that was it. Okay. All right, let's go. Hey,
Achilles,
everybody.
Achilles, I sent you the format in the private chat, so you can kind of follow that, and I'm gonna let you totally take the wheel, buddy.
Okay. Hello, everybody. How has your day been? So we're going to discuss today. I mean, my friends here are going to discuss whether the Second Amendment is something Christians should go for, or that's not in the Bible. Let's examine that issue. I don't see it being discussed a lot. So my job here is to just keep it civil. Although with these two hosts, you really don't need to. But I'll just be around typically to mute Robin. I mean, whoever I have to.
Make sure you only do that when she starts to win, Achilles.
Yeah, right where the balance tips over that way, I know what to do. I'm well trained.
You're well trained. Yes.
So, guys, ladies first, I would say. That's my rule. That's my number one rule. You go first. Give us an introduction about yourself. And
Oh, okay.
All my other rules, you already respect them, guys. It's like be respectful, don't talk over each other, but you don't do that stuff. So let's go. Let's start with introductions.
Hey, I'm Robin Webster. I have the channel, Robin Webster channel. And I'm atheist who I'm friends with these Christians here on this channel. We're pretty good friends. And I'm trying to get into debating. So I challenged Stephen to this debate.
You all heard it. It's a challenge. That's
Hmm.
what it is. So, Mr. Challenged. So the challenger is on the right, and Mr. Challenged, I guess, is what you call.
Well, if you ask my mother or my wife, they would tell you that I am challenged in a mental way.
In a lot of
Hi,
ways.
I'm Stephen Bolin. I am the founder of Proverbs Guys Ministries. I'm one of the senior hosts with the ministry, and I report only to Dan and only when he's not really, really mad at me. And we are good friends with Robin. She's our favorite atheist. She's actually the only atheist with moderating powers on our channel. We trust her and think that highly of her. And full disclosure, all of these debates are for practice for both her and myself, just for good entertainment purposes, and to secretly but openly try to convert her. So, cards are on the table. Thank you.
All right. Very well done. 5 points for both. Okay. So, should we like go already and start tell people the layout and stuff?
I'll let you explain the layout, and then as the positive position, I will start my opening argument first, and then let Robin give hers, and then we can do our rebuttals.
So we have our opening statements are gonna be 8 to 10 minutes, but we're not gonna be very strict. If somebody needs to take more time because they're slow like Steven, uh, then we're going to move to the rebuttals. Oh, Kitty.
Yeah, Kitty's going to be trying to sit in my lap the whole time.
Is there any way we can guarantee that the cat's not going to be trying to help? I
Hmm.
just don't want it to turn into a 2-on-1.
She won't be any help, I promise.
Okay.
She has Satan on her side. The cat is Satan.
Oh no, my cats ain't that bad.
They're demons. Have you looked into their eyes deeply?
Yes,
I mean,
live with,
I
with
watched.
4 cats. That's
I
all.
watched.
Only thing I live with besides I have a ball python, a bearded dragon, and a
Okay,
leopard.
I'll take the cat.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a cat.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it like that, cats are a wonderful pet.
Yeah, I love them. I love them. Okay, so rebuttals are gonna be about 5 to 7 minutes, a little shorter than the opening statements. Then we're gonna see what you guys are made of because we have the cross examination, which is gonna be 5 minutes of questions from one side and then 5 from the other. So the way this layout is laid out here is that the affirmative will always be going first. So that's the affirmative on the subject, meaning whether Christians should have guns, right? So
whether
who,
whether Christians should support the Second Amendment.
right?
I'm taking the affirmative.
That's what I was about to ask because we didn't. I don't think we said that on the introductions. Okay, so you will be. Although we always go for women first, ladies first, this time we'll have to go with the affirmative first. And if we have time and we stick to this time frame here, we're going to move to questions and answers. So because I won't have much to do here, I'll be keeping an eye in the chat and I'll be starring anything that resembles a question. So Then we're gonna have the closing statements, and we will hope you guys had a great time.
Have you got access to my chat too, Achilles?
Yes, I see there's something there
Okay.
now. No.
Okay, so you can pin those. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I don't.
Oh, let me share that with you real quick then, Achilles.
Yes, if you're on my channel and watching this, you can put your question in chat, and Achilles maybe can get to it too.
Can you
Okay,
open what I just sent you, Achilles?
I will, but I don't have it in Nivmax, which means that I will be what? Okay, wait a minute. Okay,
Yeah, I
no.
just sent you Robin's presentation. That way you can share it for her also.
Okay, what about the chat?
It's in the well, you can only
He don't
do
have.
one or the other. So just do her presentation and forget the chat until her presentation is done.
Yeah, I'll watch. I've got my chat open on my phone, so I can see if there's any questions.
Okay. You're gonna be cheating with your phone. I get it.
How's that cheating?
I don't know. People will be telling you what to say.
Yeah, I'm also cheating with my phone,
I
full
always
disclosure.
always let people tell me what to say. Yes, that's my
Uh, Krista is right behind Steven's back.
biggest trait.
So she's hiding there. Say this. Say this.
Hello, Krista.
Um, Hello, BBM. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Average Joe. Hello, Philosopher. Hello, Terry. Hello, Dan. And we're ready to roll. Again, if you have any questions, remember to shoot them in the chat and I'll start them and I'll ask them later. So when I find myself, because I'm a little lost. Hello, Sisal, and hello, Femi Ropoint. I'm gonna be able to look at the layout again. But okay, so I think we're ready to go. We begin with the affirmative position, which is Steven, and you have 10 minutes. Timer. Wait. Hmm. Now, here's a technical issue. I didn't charge my timer. Give me a minute. Because it's my phone.
I'm so glad we were prepared.
Yes.
This was with a certain level of preparation, people. You can only imagine if we had gone into this blind.
Let's charge this timer.
It would save us all some time if we could just declare Robin the winner. Then we could just hang out for a while.
That wouldn't give us much practice.
That's accurate, yeah.
Besides, you
Well,
might win.
you need practice in winning. So you can say you did. So, alrighty. Stephen, whenever you're ready, we can go.
All right. And I have my presentation up here. So thank you guys for having us, and thank you, Achilles, for hosting this awesome debate. This is on the Second Amendment, and the question is, we need to frame it correctly. The question is, should Christians support the Second Amendment, the right for citizens to bear arms? That's what we're going to get into today. My core claim is that the Bible allows self-defense. Jesus rejected violent misuse, not lawful possession. The Second Amendment assumes human sinfulness, and trusting God doesn't lead to absence of tools. Loving your neighbor can include protection. Key point 1. The Bible allows self-defense without glorifying violence. Christian ethics regulate force, they don't deny reality. Scripture distinguishes murder versus protection. Exodus 22, 2 through 3. Defensive force is morally distinct from murder, and we see that again in Nehemiah 4, where God allows his people to defend themselves. They have tools in one hand and weapons in the other. My second key point. Jesus rejected violence, but not self-defense. We see in Luke 22:36, Jesus acknowledges danger tells disciples to buy a sword. In Matthew 26:52, Peter is rebuked for misuse, but not for owning a sword. Jesus forbid advancing the kingdom by violence, not self-defense. Key point number 3. The Second Amendment assumes human sinfulness. Christianity teaches humans, including rulers, are fallen. Concentrated power is dangerous. It's all through the biblical theme. And the Second Amendment exists to limit power, not promote aggression. Key point number 4. Trust in God doesn't mean absence of tools. Christians can possess tools without placing their trust in them. In Psalms 44:6, I do not trust in my bow. David had weapons, he just didn't worship them. Tools do not equal idolatrousness. The heart makes them so. Social media performance. Key point number 5. Loving your... Yes? Okay, thank you. Be sure to help Robin that way also though. So point number 5, loving your neighbor can include protection. Proverbs 24:11, rescue those being led to death. Protecting family and vulnerable people can be an act of love. Restraint and responsibility matter more than ideology. Christian love sometimes means protecting someone or preventing harm from coming on them. What I'm not claiming is that guns automatically save people, that Christians must support the Second Amendment, or that violence is virtuous. I'm also not trying to prove that America equals God's kingdom, nor do we always govern ourselves that way. My argument is about moral permission, not political obligation. A Christian can support the Second Amendment while rejecting violence, resisting idolatry, and trusting God above all else. Thank you. And I will surrender the remaining of my time to the debate so that Robin can give us her awesome presentation.
Okay, that was 4.5 minutes with my interruption. Okay, that is gonna be easier than I thought. Okay, Robin, your turn.
Okay, this debate is not about whether violence exists, whether danger is real, or whether
One,
fear is.
one second, sister. Are you gonna bring up the presentation, Stephen, or me? I got it. I got it.
Yeah, if you could, because I'd like to take notes for her position.
Okay, so 1 second there, Robin, to bring it up.
And maybe like Achilles, kind of keep an eye on it because I'm not sure. Like you'll have to click the things, but you can kind of hear what I'm talking about when I go off.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So it's okay.
I'll
We
have to
got this.
thank you for running that for me.
We got this. We're professionals. Let me see if it works. Okay, it works, right? Okay. Okay.
I hope so.
You can see it. Okay. Um, do you want? Let's see. I want to be able to see Robin too, though. Wait, what's going on? Ah, I got it. I got it. Here we are. Okay, so you can read from here or from there because here maybe something is hidden from. I'll hide myself as well. Okay, so let's go.
No, I'm not. I'm not reading on that. I've got my notes open. So,
Okay, so Stephen,
but
I'm
yeah.
bringing you back. Okay, and ready when you are.
Okay, this debate is not whether violence exists, whether danger is real, or whether fear is understandable. The question before us is much narrower and much more demanding. What does Christianity, as defined by Jesus, the New Testament, and the earliest Christians require of its followers? My position is that the Christian faith does not support violence, not as a moral ideal, not as a method of discipline, and not as a defining Christian value. While Scripture records violence and governments may wield force, Christian discipleship is consistently framed around nonviolence, enemy love, and trust in God rather than the sword. I will make this case in three parts: one, the teachings and examples of Jesus; two, the New Testament ethic towards self defense and retaliation; and three, the unanimous witness of the early Christian church. Jesus explicitly rejects violence as a way of faithfulness. Christian ethics begin with Jesus himself. In the Gospel of Matthew, number 5, Jesus overturns the principle of retaliation. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye, but I say to you, do not resist an evil person. This is not symbolic language, it is a direct rejection of violent response to harm. Jesus goes further in the Gospel of Luke, number 6, commanding love of enemies, doing good to those who harm you, and refusing retaliation. These commands are presented not as ideal for monks, but as normative discipleship. The clearest moment comes at Jesus' arrest when Peter uses a sword in what could only be described as justified self defense. Jesus rebukes him, put your sword back into its place. Gospel of Matthew 26:52. Jesus then heals the injured enemy in the Gospel of Luke 22:51. This matters because there is one, an immediate threat. The victim is innocent, and the cause is just. Yet Jesus still forbids violence. If there was ever a moment where violent self-defense would be morally endorsed, this would be it, and Jesus rejects it anyway. Jesus later explains why. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting. Gospel of John 18:36. Christian discipleship is grounded in a kingdom ethic that does not advance through force. Contention number 2. The New Testament replaces self-defense with trust in God. The apostles reinforced this ethic. Paul commands believers, repay no evil for evil, never avenge yourselves. Epistle to the Romans 12:17 through 19. This command is unqualified. Violence in self-defense is still retaliation. It answers harm with harm. Peter explicitly grounds Christian ethics in Jesus' example. When he suffered, he did not threaten. Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example. First Epistle of Peter 2:21 through 23. The New Testament does not command Christians to defend themselves violently. Instead, it consistently redirects believers towards endurance, peacemaking, and trust in God's justice. Yes, Scripture acknowledges government authority in Romans 13, but this is descriptive, not prescriptive for Christian behavior. Just one chapter earlier, Christians are forbidden from vengeance altogether. The sword belongs to the state, not to the church. Contention number 3. The early church interpreted Jesus literally and rejected violence. The strongest historical evidence comes from the earliest Christians, those closest to the apostles. For roughly the first 3 centuries, the dominant Christian position was nonviolence, including rejection of self-defense. Justin Martyr wrote that Christians who once killed now refuse to war even against their enemies. Athenagoras of Athens stated Christians could not endure to see a man put to death, even justly. Tertullian said, in disarming Peter, Christ disarmed every Christian. The Origen of Alexandria taught that Christians fight with swords, not with swords, but with prayer. And I cannot say it. I can't say that name.
Lactanius, Lactantius.
Lactantius, thank you, argued that killing is unlawful in every form. These were not fringe radicals, they were mainstream Christian teachers. The acceptance of violence emerges only after Christianity gains political power, especially with Augustine of Hippo in the 4th century. This shift was openly acknowledged as a concession to a governing an empire, not a return to Jesus' example. Taken together, Jesus rejects violence and forbids the sword. The New Testament commands non-retaliation, and the early church overwhelmingly practiced pacifism. Christian nonviolence is not naive, it is original. To support violence is to move away from the teachings of Jesus and towards the logic of worldly power. For these reasons, the negative stands that Christians should not support the Second Amendment. Thank you.
Okay, before I end the timer, I wanna say that I've been following all the presentation, and except this part. Um, did I miss it, or you didn't address it?
I don't know. I may not. Just
The,
go
accept, the
ahead.
acceptance of violence emerges only after Christianity gains political power, especially with Augustine of Hippo in the 4th century. This shift was openly acknowledged as the concession to governing an empire, not a return to Jesus' example.
Yeah, I said that.
Okay, got a little lost. Okay.
I love how you listen to me, Achilles. I love it.
I just no, I
No,
didn't. You didn't start it like exactly the way it was, and I got lost because there was a great question in the chat, and I had to say that I liked it. So maybe that was the moment that
you're
I
good.
lost it.
You're
Okay,
good.
so okay, just for the record, you did less than 6 minutes. So now we are going into my cheat paper here to see what's next. Okay, so we got the rebuttals. So Stephen, don't flip on me because you okay, I want you there. All right. um, you're up. Let me reset this and ready when you are.
All right, so I'm going to rebuttal Robin first.
Yep.
All right, so let's go through this. Jesus' self-defense in the early church, you mentioned the teaching and example of Jesus. Yes, Jesus teaches peace, turning the other cheek, and loving enemies, but he also acknowledges danger. In Luke 22:36, he tells his disciples to buy a sword, not to promote aggression, but to recognize reality. His rebuke of Peter in Matthew 26:52 is against misuse, not possession. Jesus differentiates between the two. New Testament ethic toward self defense and retaliation. The New Testament consistently condemns vengeance and violence for personal gain, but it does not require Christians to abandon all means of protection or deny the reality of evil in the world. The ununanimous witness of the early Christian church. Early Christians often emphasized peace and nonviolence in the face of persecution, but that was largely because they were a minority under hostile rulers, not because self defense was inherently sinful. And just closing that portion of the rebuttal, well, let me address this too. You have contention number one: Jesus rejects violence as a way of faithfulness. Number one, distinguish violence as a method from defense as responsibility. Jesus consistently rejects aggressive or coercive violence to advance his kingdom. That's different from using force, responsibility in a fallen world. Jesus acknowledges the reality of danger. I already quoted Luke 22:36 and Matthew 26:52. And you also said, turn the other cheek. And I want to wager that against responsible defense. And context matters. Jesus is speaking to personal retaliation, not civil defense or moral responsibility. Do not resist an evil person is about forgiving, avoiding vengeance, and rejecting personal vendettas. Jesus separates heart from tool. Faithful protection aligns with Christian ethics. You also said Jesus rebuked Peter, and that's true. Jesus rebukes misuse, not possession, and we see that laid out in the text. And you also said trust in God is pretty much the same as abandoning that responsibility. And Scripture calls for both faith and wisdom. We see this in Proverbs 22:3. And trust is about the heart, not a tool. Lawful defense versus reliance on God. The Second Amendment provides a framework for lawful protection, not a substitute for spiritual trust. Jesus himself models this balance in Luke 22:36. No revenge versus responsible defense. Paul forbids personal vengeance, not lawful defense. In Romans 12, he commands believers repay no evil for evil. The context is personal retaliation. Christians are called to forgive, not to settle scores themselves. God delegates authority for justice. In Romans 13, 1 through 4, civil authorities bear the sword for justice. Faithful protection doesn't always equal trusting in weapons. In Psalms 44, 6, and 7, we see, I do not trust in my bow, my help comes from you. We see that it's fine to arm yourself as long as you're not putting your trust in your weapon or making it an idol in your life. Because ultimately, as a Christian, Jesus is our salvation from everything. Christ suffered. Does that forbid defense? Jesus' example is about heart, not tools. 1 Peter 2:21 through 23 emphasizes Jesus' humility, patience, and rejection of revenge. The focus is on attitude towards enemies, not the morality of lawful protection in that defense. Suffering for righteousness does not equal passivity in a fallen world. Tools are morally neutral. Obedience is in the heart. And I'll see if I had one more point to respond to. I think, well, okay, here, I took this. Core New Testament redirects for believers. 1, endurance. Christians are repeatedly called to endure suffering and hardship potentially. 1 Peter 2:19 through 20, for it is commendable if, because of conscience toward God, one endures sorrows while suffering unjustly. This the emphasis is moral character under trial, not physical passivity for its own sake. Peacemaking. Followers of Christ are called to actively seek reconciliation and avoid unnecessary conflict. We see this in Matthew 5:9. And trust in God's justice. Believers are directed to trust God rather than taking personal vengeance. Romans 12:19, beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. And I will just close my rebuttal there.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Closing, zeroing. Okay, Robin,
Okay,
the floor is yours. Let's go.
Stephen asserts that Jesus allows for self-defense. Is this true? In the Gospel of Matthew 26:51, Peter uses a sword to defend Jesus during an unlawful arrest. And Jesus says, put your sword back in its place, for those who take the sword will perish by the sword. Why does this matter? Okay, it was an immediate threat. Jesus was an innocent victim, and it was just to do self defense. I would say that is a just cause. Yet Jesus explicitly forbids violent defense. In fact, he heals the ear of the soldier later on. Jesus stops violence and heals the enemy. In the Gospel of Luke 22:51, after the servant's ear is cut off, he says, no more of this. Jesus not only stops self-defense, he reverses its harm, prioritizing mercy over protection. Jesus refuses to defend himself at the trial and execution. In Gospel of John 18:36, he says, if my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting. Why does this matter? Jesus explicitly links violence to worldly kingdoms, not his own, even when his life is at stake. In the Gospel of Luke 23:24, he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Instead of resisting execution, Jesus rejects self-defense entirely and responds with forgiveness. In the Gospel of Matthew 5:38-39, he says, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. This is a direct prohibition of violent self-defense in response to personal harm. Early Christians choose suffering over self-defense. In the Acts of the Apostles 7:59-60, Stephen is stoned to death and says, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. He does not resist, flee, or call for retaliation. He imitates Jesus' response. Paul refuses violent resistance despite repeated threats. In the Acts of the Apostles 21 through 28, Paul is beaten, imprisoned, and threatened multiple times. He does not call for his followers to take arms. He does not encourage violent escape, and he does not justify force in defense. Instead, Paul relies on law, endurance, and witness, not violence. In the epistle to the Romans 12:17 through 19, it says, repay no one evil for evil, never avenge yourselves. Violent self-defense is a form of retaliation, and Paul forbids it without exception. In the first epistle of Peter 2:21 through 23, when he suffered, he did not threaten. Jesus' refusal to defend himself is presented as the model Christians must follow. In the first book of Samuel 24:26, Saul is actively trying to kill David. David refuses to strike back. He says, I will not put my hand against the Lord's anointed. Even under mortal threat, David chooses restraint over self defense, trusting God instead. But what do these examples show? Self defense is never commanded, violence is rejected even when justified by circumstance. God's faithful servants repeatedly choose trust, suffering, and restraint. And Jesus' life becomes the definitive model for Christian ethics. In the Bible's clearest moments of danger, self defense is not celebrated, it is refused, rebuked, and replaced with trust in God. Also, Stephen said that the Second Amendment um, was, I could say what he said, it was created um, because of human sinfulness. Um, my I tend to see the Second Amendment in the way that it was commonly seen by the Supreme Court of the United States up until um, the later interpretation. I don't see the Second Amendment actually as meaning from the founders as personal self defense. I believe that the Second Amendment was meant to provide the colonies with a armed militia of people to fight in case we were to be attacked because we didn't have a standing army. I understand that it has been expanded to cover self defense now, but I do not think that that was what it was intended for, and I do not think that that's what the founders had in mind, that this would be used for self defense, except for from an invading enemy. And thank you.
Thank you, dear Robin. That was a good 5 minutes. And I'm stopping this.
Very good rebuttal, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're stepping into the hot stuff. So we're going into the cross examination. And here I think we can let Robin go first, unless she wants to pass the floor to Stephen. I'll let you choose.
Um, I'm trying to think. I've been time thinking. So Stephen, do you believe that Christians are allowed by Jesus's directive to defend themselves from attacks like that threaten their security?
So we do see scripture where he tells his disciples to go by swords. So I would say yes.
Okay. Do you think that also does that? Do you think that is more for the protection of life or for property?
I would say more for the protection of your brother or sister. So I would say for life, but not for your own life.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, see, we're shown in scriptures multiple times that Jesus would prefer us to lay down our lives like a lamb, and you use the example of Stephen getting stoned, which I loved, and that's a beautiful example of that argument. But I would also say that we see where the Bible does advocate for defending your brothers and sisters to prevent them from going to the slaughter. And I think in defense of your loved ones, it is appropriate.
So would you think though that Jesus definitely would not think that you should use the Second Amendment in defense of property?
So, are you saying like if somebody is trying to steal my family ranch?
Yeah, I'm like a lot of people who support the Second Amendment um, seem to um, think that they can use that to protect their property, their possessions, their residence. Like
I
um,
I would say that would be more of a conscience issue, person by person, but it's really not the framework of the debate. The debate is more, should a Christian support the Second Amendment, not what is the Christian's reasoning for supporting the Second
okay,
Amendment.
yeah. So does Jesus ever specifically name a time when you're allowed to take another human life? So um, like so that would be justify a Christian having a gun, a firearm.
So I can't think of a direct quotation from Scripture where Jesus says it's ever okay to take a life, but we do know when he asks when the rich young ruler asks Jesus what he has to do to be saved, Jesus points him back to the Ten Commandments. And one of the commandments is that thou shalt not murder. But the scripture, the Torah, which Jesus would have followed and obeyed, does talk about the punishment for murder, and it is that you lose your life. So, in withholding to the standard of the Father, yes, he would have had to support that, although it's not his will.
Even though, and I forget where the the one quote I had about that they forbid actually the taking of any life. Where is it? Um,
Well, we see that all of the laws Moses gave the children of Israel, God had to approve first. None of those laws are laws from Moses. Moses was just the voice for the Lord. And he tells us that, he even lays it out to this point. He says, if someone breaks into your home in the daylight, that you are to let them escape, because it is the Father's desire to not have a loss of life. But then he turns around and says, if that person breaks into your home at night and you are not able to, know right away what their intention is, you don't know at nighttime if someone breaks into your home whether they're wanting to violate your family or take your big screen TV. Moses says it is okay in that situation to take the life.
okay, so what you're saying is you're talking about old covenant law.
No, I'm saying that the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not murder, those are still applied to Christians. And every one of the commandments had a penalty applied to it. And the penalty for murdering was that you were to be stoned to death.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I agree with that. But like my understanding is that um, when when Jesus came and fulfilled the law, um, that he set up a new covenant. And so, like, if that's why a lot of the things that Jesus taught actually don't seem to match up with Yahweh in the Old Testament. I mean, like, it, there's very different rules for humanity after Jesus comes and dies for our sins.
I
Um,
would say that derives from a misunderstanding of fulfillment. So, a lot of Protestants, and this is bad theology from Protestants and Baptists, they say that Jesus came, he installed the new covenant, and then he undid all of the law. But that's not what happened. Jesus even says in that passage of scripture, think not that I came to undo the law. that none of the law will pass away until heaven and earth pass away. And if you look around, heaven and earth are still here. So we go through the 10 Commandments. Every Christian will tell you we shouldn't lie. Every Christian will tell you we shouldn't steal. Every Christian will tell you they shouldn't have another God before them. They'll agree with all the 10 Commandments except the Sabbath, put the Sabbath to the side. So even though they don't keep the 10 Commandments for salvation, they will all agree that we are to still keep those commandments. No Christian will tell you it's okay to lie or steal or have an affair on your wife.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to stop it here because I forgot to say that this is 4 to 5 minutes actually, and we've been at 6.5. Those were great questions and great
I
answers.
I honestly could have kept going. Yeah, that was
Right,
fun.
right. So now it's your turn to examine Robin's side. Let me stop this real quick. Right, stop right now. Okay, okay. So ready when you are.
All right. Are you ready, Robin?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. So in Luke 22:36, it records Jesus telling his disciples to buy swords. Would you agree that he was acknowledging real danger in the world?
Yes. Doesn't he tell him to buy? Does he tell him to buy two swords? Is that what it's?
I don't remember. That could be the same passage or it could be a re recording in a different gospel.
But then he also, though, when the time comes to use the sword, he refuses to allow the person to use the sword. Like,
Are you talking about Peter when he
yes,
rebuked? Okay.
yes, he
Well,
rebuked
that
Peter.
that's my next question for you. So when Jesus rebuked Peter for using his sword, do you think the rebuke was about owning the sword or about the misuse of it?
Um, I think it was about the misuse of it. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. What do you think the misuse in it was?
Mm, well, because I think that he's saying that you can't use it for defense. Like to defend. Even though it would have been a just defense for
Why do you think he would have told them to buy a sword if it was his intention for them to never use it?
maybe to see if they would follow his ideal of not using it. That's all I can think of is maybe he was testing his
Okay.
apostles to see if they, when put in the position to do something like that right there, that they would refuse to, even though after he had specifically tried to teach them not to. I think that Jesus did a lot of teaching moments in his mission, in like his mission. He told a lot of parables and things like that, trying to teach his apostles his way of thinking. And I think that probably he wanted to see if they had the means to do something like that, would they use it or would they choose to follow his directive and not?
All right. So in Psalms 44, it says, I do not trust in my bow, nor does my sword save me. Would you agree that using a weapon responsibly is not the same as placing ultimate trust in it?
Yes. Who was that said that?
That's Psalms 44, Psalm 44, so it would have been David.
Oh, okay. Um, yes. I mean, like I think that um, the thing that the main ideal that came out of the New Testament is that um, you're supposed to trust God. Um, that that trusting God will be what will protect you, not. So I don't know. Um, I just think that that's the ideal that, or the message that is sent by by Jesus, was that trusting God, um, that he will not let harm come to you that is, not against his idea or his plan or whatever. I know that's not a very good answer, but I don't.
Okay. So Nehemiah armed his workers while rebuilding the walls in Jerusalem. He told them to have a sword in one hand and a shovel in the other. Would you agree that that could be the same as responsible defensive measures and are morally distinct from aggression or revenge?
Um, Maybe he's trying to keep people kind of just let them know that they're armed. But Nehemiah is not Jesus, and so I don't know that Jesus would have approved of that necessarily. I think that um, there's a lot of difference between the leaders of the church leaders, even or the leaders of the was like Nehemiah was Jewish, right?
Hebrew, yeah, correct. Yep.
Okay. So like he did not follow the directives of Jesus.
Well, he came long, long before Jesus.
Yeah.
So at that time, being a Torah observer would be a sign of your faith, like a placeholder for Jesus.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about. Like I think that the according to the old covenant, the Hebrew people had different directives as far as what how they were supposed to behave or
I
act
would I
according.
would I would disagree, but let me try to get this last question off if we still have time.
Okay.
Romans 13 teaches that governments bear the sword to execute justice. Would you agree that Christians can support lawful defense measures that protect others without seeking personal vengeance?
Yes, I would. I don't know that Jesus would, but I would.
All right, thank you. Achilles, what's the time?
Thank you. Almost 6 minutes. So well done, guys, both of you. Uh,
Those were
uh,
hard questions.
Yours were also hard to answer.
so now we are moving to the next segment, next part of the debate, which is going to be the second rebuttals. And now you get to uh, examine, I guess, those questions deeper. So you have 4 to 5 minutes each. Who wants to go first? The text here says affirmative side goes first, but my brother is a gentleman too. So
Uh,
now I think I made it hard for Steven, but what do
all
you
right, so if you would like, I'll rebuttal first, Robin, and that'll give you time, or you can
Yeah,
rebuttal
yeah.
if it's fresh on your
I
mind.
didn't even remember that we had this part. So I don't.
Full disclosure, I didn't either. So I'm just going to be going over some of the other rebuttal points that I was not able to get to.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, go
all
ahead.
right? Timer
Uh,
starts now.
all right. So Jesus' rejection of violence. My opponent's argument is that Jesus explicitly forbids the sword. His example shows Christians must never use force. My response would be context matters. Jesus rebukes Peter's misuse of the sword, not sword ownership or lawful defense. Matthew 26:52, also Luke 22:36. A key point here is that ownership or lawful support of defense does not equal aggression or idolatry. She also said New Testament was non retaliation. Points to Romans 12 and 1 Peter 2 command non retaliation. Christians must rely only on God. My response is that non retaliation addresses personal vengeance, not responsible civic defense. Romans 13, 1 through 4 teaches that governments have authority to restrain evil, implying Christians can support lawful defense mechanisms. Psalms 44, 6 through 7 shows the distinction. Weapons exist, but trust remains in God. Rejecting personal revenge doesn't forbid lawful protective action. She also says early church pacifism is something we have to look at. My opponent argues early Christians refused to fight. The first Christians were nonviolent. And, Robin, you are completely right. My response to you would be, though, that early Christian pacifism was contextual, reflecting minority statuses under persecution, not universal moral prohibition. Historical examples: Nehemiah, Jesus' sword instruction, show faithful defense is morally consistent. And she pointed to the church fathers. Church fathers like Tertullian and Origen teach Christians should not fight or use weapons. My response: these teachings reflect historical circumstances, not timeless moral law. Civil authority and lawful defense were recognized as legitimate by Scripture itself, and supporting defensive laws like the Second Amendment is about responsible protection, not aggression. Historical pacifism reflects context. It's not an eternal prohibition on lawful defense. A trust in God versus human action. Robin's argument is that Christians must trust God completely, not rely on tools or weapons. My reply to Robin is that faithful trust in God is heart-centered, not tool-centered. Using defensive tools responsibly or supporting lawful defense is prudence, not idolatry. And the Bible consistently separates aggression and vengeance from responsible protection. Christian ethics are about the heart, intent, and restraint, not about forbidding all defense measures. Supporting lawful defense aligns with Scripture, history, and prudence, even as we trust God above all. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay. 1 second. Right. So fast. Copy. Robin, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yes, Jesus did reject violence, and he rejected it not because of the use of it or what he rejected so much that he healed the soldier who cut off his ear. I mean, who Peter cut off his ear. Like I said before, I think maybe that he may have had his this was a teaching moment. I think that maybe he knew that Peter would take up the sword against the soldier, and Jesus uses this as a moment to teach them a different way to react to violence against them. And so that was probably likely a teaching moment, as Jesus was a teacher. Um, yes, the early church had pacifism as a, and I would like to think that the early Christians were pacifists because that was the ideal. They came out, of course, they were closer to the times of the apostles and the teachings of Jesus. They would have been more familiar with the directives that came out from Paul and the apostles and Jesus than the later church fathers. We don't see them come to, and like you said, they they accept by like a self defense and things like that once they get into power, which is actually a corruption of Jesus's teachings through power. I mean that's what, like, principles are something that should exist regardless of power, and it kind of just goes to show that actually once the Christian church got in power, that they moved away from the teachings of Jesus and began to allow violence. And I think that that's probably, like I said, I think that that's against Jesus's teachings. Um, I looked up some of the churches, like now, some of the different churches that exist now on their stance on this. And there are still churches that follow pacifism, like the Quakers and things like that, and the Amish and stuff are very pacifist. Um, then there are other churches, but I feel that that is like a perversion of Jesus's words. I believe that they've done that out of something that is benefits them and is convenient to them, and not to what Jesus actually taught. And That's pretty much all I have. I don't know. I didn't write much down. So,
Okay, for not being prepared, both of you, for this, you did great. So, okay, now you can take a break as we move into the questions and answers from the audience. I didn't pay attention to the end of the task, so let me um,
I
check.
have I have some questions too here. I think at least one or two.
Um, for Stephen.
I guess they're from my chat.
Okay, okay, okay. So, okay, you go first. Let's go.
Okay. Um, I've got here. Mirror Point asked, "Did joining the Roman army entail pagan worship?" I'm not. I guess that.
Um, I mean, that's a hard question because
I don't.
Rome itself was entwined with so much paganism. Um, I'm not sure exactly how to answer that question.
Okay. Did many early Christians expect Christ's return soon? Wouldn't martyrdom make more sense in that worldview and therefore pacifist?
Yes, so it was the worldview that Jesus was coming back any day now. They were waiting for him. Peter thought that it was going to be in his lifetime and even sort of suggested people should abstain from being married if they could help it because he thought the Lord was coming back that soon. Um, what was the second half of the question?
I went past it. See, it says, "Wouldn't martyrdom make sense in that worldview and therefore pacifism?"
Okay, so that's a double fold question because, like for myself, should I just allow myself to be martyred because Jesus is coming soon? Sure. But as a family man, should I allow my son and my wife to be martyred? No.
Okay, and I've got one more.
Mhm.
Let's see where I think it says, "If the Bible only supports self-defense, why in the First Samuel 15:3 does God command to kill?"
What is
And
that question?
it it says, "If the Bible only supports self-defense, why in First Samuel 15:3 does God command to kill?" I don't have any reference to that
All
that
right, let me read that scripture verse for you. So 1 Samuel 15:3, this is in the Old Testament. Now go and strike Amalek and devote to destruction all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. So I would say that this is a very specific command in the Old Testament to Israel during very particular historical situation. Um, and this was the elimination of an aggressive tribe that was engaging in some very wicked practices.
Okay, let me. One question here was already addressed by Robin, so I guess it was written on both channels, or you've done something and you've shared them here as well. I don't think so. Um, so there are comments, um, but concerning questions, maybe this one. Did many early Christians expect Christ's return soon? Wouldn't martyrdom make sense in that worldview and therefore pacifistic?
he already answered that one. He already,
Okay, so the mirror point is also over there, and
yes.
thank you for checking it out here as well, and thank you for contributing to this debate. Then couple from Claude. Claude, although I like your comments and I have started them to bring them up if necessary, I think this is a little weird question. So, but I'll read it. It has a question mark. So, Jesus said, "Take up thy bed and walk," or "Take out thy weapon and slap." So, I don't. Let's just leave this one as a rhetorical question. I'm not sure, like.
We're
I
kind
would say it's a bad question because you can harm somebody with a mattress and you can sleep on a sword.
we're used to Claude asking weird questions.
Yeah, but he did make some good comments. Um, Steven, you probably saw this one, but we need to ask you: do you ever debate men, or you only pick on ladies?
So
Oh,
first of all, I'd say two things, Mr. B.S. Lewis. First of all, I would say that that was an insult to Robin, not myself, because that's assuming that she's not going to be a decent opponent or that I can just bully her because she's a female. It's really sexist.
yes,
Um,
yes, I
se-
agree.
Second of all, I would say you must not be married if you think debating a woman is easy.
I can't believe BS said that. Oh,
Um, I think you brought this one up too, dear Robin. If the Bible only supports self-defense, First Samuel 15:3. Why does God command to kill?
yes,
Right.
I
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Then there are comments which I'm going to leave them like there in the chat. There is some person, Mr. Dax Y, who is not here. Is he on your channel, Robin?
Yes, he is. I've heard like yeah, Duck is
That guy does not like me.
I don't know what
Mm,
Duck
I
is hard
don't know.
to explain. I deleted one of his comments, but he's Duck, please behave. But he doesn't even know you, Stephen. He doesn't.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard to understand what he's talking about. Sometimes
All right.
Okay,
I
because
just love
he started being very rude with Steven, like he knew him, and I don't understand why. And then he kind of mellowed down. So
I didn't have a moderator in chat, and I do over here. I do now. There wasn't one in chat here, and I made Deviant a moderator, so she can delete any kind of comments like that if she wants to.
Oh,
okay,
it's not bothering me. I just let him go.
so we can go to the closing statements, and then guys, you can choose whether you want to open the panel to. Oh, hi, Batman. Um,
All right, so Batman, stay in the back long enough for us to do our closing statements, and then we'll open the panel for people to ask questions or whatnot.
Batman and Robin.
yeah, great couple here.
Okay,
So
I go first, right?
yeah, you get to close first, Robin, and I'll tell you, it's always a joy debating you.
Yes, yes.
Don't do it, Robin. It's a trick. He wants to have the closing statement.
No, he gets to go first. We book, yeah, he gets we bookend it, so that's the way it is. Like it's not my like this is sort of the way it does. But this is the only time I'm ever going to allow men to have the last word. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This debate ultimately comes down to authority. Who defines Christianity? Is it fear? Is it political necessity? Or is it Jesus Christ? Jesus does not say, "Blessed are the armed." He says, "Blessed are the peacemakers." He does not instruct his followers to defend him with force. He tells them to put the sword away. He does not resist arrest, call angels, or justify violence, even to save innocent life. Instead, he accepts suffering and responds with forgiveness. The apostles follow this pattern. The early Christians interpret it literally, and for centuries they chose martyrdom over violence. Violence enters Christian theology only after Christianity gains power, not when it follows Christ most closely. This matters because Christianity does not promise safety, it promises faithfulness. The cross is not a symbol of self defense, it is a symbol of self giving love. The affirmative may argue that violence is sometimes necessary, but Christianity has never been about what is necessary, it had always been about what is correct. They may argue that self defense is understandable, but the question is not what is understandable. The question is what does Christ command? Christ commands love of your enemies, rejection of retaliation, and trust in God rather than the sword. So the choice in this debate is simple. If Christianity is defined by Jesus and the earliest church, then Christians should not support violence or the Second Amendment. For that reason, the negative proudly stands. and should win this round. Thank you.
Okay,
Shots fired.
shots fired. Okay, Mr. Defendant, because you sound like a defendant now. All right, the way that statement went out made you look real bad. So, floor is yours.
All right, thank you guys. No, so actually I deleted my wrong slide. So no, that's okay. I have it here. I just need 1 second to pull it back up. If it's about how amazing I am, yes.
My personal views is that every human has a right to defend their own life and the lives of their loved ones. Um, like I said, I do own firearms. I do believe in the Second Amendment, and I do not think that any Christian who owns firearms is a bad person at all. I'm just doing this as an internal critique from inside the religion, which I am not a Christian. I was one for very many years. And so I'm not judging you if you are a Christian who owns a firearm. Okay? That's all I want to say.
All right, thank you. Okay. It's been a great time, guys, but we knew this time would come. It's time for the closing statement. Now, by this time, you've probably already assumed that I have won the debate, and you would be right for thinking so. As we close tonight, I want to return to the actual question before us, not the loudest version of it that came from Robin, not the most emotional charged version of it that came from Robin, but the honest one, which came from Stephen. The question is not whether guns save people. It's not whether violence is tragic. It's not whether Christians should trust weapons instead of God. On those points, thank you. You never were, Robin. On those points, I suspect we agree far more than we disagree. I don't know why I use this text. This was terrible text. Yeah, but a bad one. The real question is this: Can a Christian seeking to follow Jesus faithfully support the Second Amendment without betraying the teachings of Christ? That's the actual question. I've argued tonight that the answer is yes. Not because Scripture glorifies violence, but because it takes sin seriously. Not because Christians are commanded to bear arms, but because they are permitted to exercise moral responsibility in a fallen world. The Bible does not give us a simplistic ethic that ignores danger, evil, or abuse of power. It makes careful distinctions between murder and self-defense, between aggression and restraint, between trusting God and using tools responsibly. Those distinctions matter. Jesus calls his followers to peace, humility, and love of enemies. That calling shapes the heart, not just public policy. At the same time, Scripture does not demand that Christians pretend evil doesn't exist or that power never corrupts. It does not require believers to surrender all means of protection in order to prove their faith. And that's where much of this debate goes wrong. It assumes that supporting the Second Amendment means trusting in weapons. But Scripture shows us again and again that trust is not measured by whether tools exist, it's measured by where hope ultimately exists. Christian theology does not assume moral perfection. It teaches original sin. It teaches accountability. It teaches restraint. In that sense, the logic behind the Second Amendment aligns far more closely with biblical realism than with utopian trust in human systems. That does not mean Christians must all agree on policy, details, regulation, or application. Faithful believers can and do disagree, but disagreement is only possible if we first acknowledge this basic truth. Supporting the Second Amendment is not inherently unchristian. A Christian can support it while loving peace. Thank you.
Thank you both
Very good, Stephen.
for this great debate. Lots of points made. I want to thank you for being so respectful to each other. And as Krista said in the chat, for me, it's I enjoy a debate between you two guys because I'm learning without having to endure people fighting and shouting and bringing up ad hominems and all that stuff that are happening in debates. So a big thank you to both of you.
Yeah, yes.
And now the panel is open.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, yes,
I
of
want to
course.
say to everyone in my chat, if you don't care, come over to Stevens and at least give his video a like. And hopefully everybody in Stevens' channel will do the same for mine, so we can both get some good views out of this and some likes. And
I would definitely agree. Yes,
and I
everybody.
want to thank everybody that showed up in chat. This was kind of a hard topic for me as I'm not a Christian, and I am a gun owner. So, but I chose it specifically for that reason, actually. And you did very well, Stephen. Very well.
Stephen, before you respond, I want to ask people to ignore the first link I sent, which says editor. That's not, you can't come in from that link, and I can't delete it. So just ignore it, guys. Follow the other one.
You said psych.
I sent it. It's good.
Yeah, psych.
Well, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
we
hello,
do. Do you have some questions, Batman?
Can I make a statement before I ask questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. As a avid Batman,
Oh, as
I
a Batman.
like the
Yeah.
idea
Okay.
of guns just being all over the place. I think everyone should use batarangs, but that's just me, right? And from the perspective of a Christian, um, I'm I'm in between on this, right? So all right, Stephen. So I have a question for you then, right? The scripture made clear that the Lord said, "Vengeance is mine," meaning He's the one who dictates when vengeance is taken, meaning justice, right, upon a group of people or individuals, right? Um, I don't necessarily think that translates as not us not owning weapons, but at the same time, um, I think the Lord is looking at it from the perspective of those who are in authorized positions to hold weapons and not necessarily just civilians. What do you have to say about that?
So, I wouldn't normally share this publicly, but
I shared my position. So go ahead.
So the position I defended tonight was in the spirit of having a really good debate with Robin, but it doesn't necessarily reflect my personal authentic views. I am a big supporter of the Second Amendment, and I would die for any American's right to bear arms. However, for me personally, I struggle with that question too of putting my trust in God but trying to balance it with protecting a family. And my personal view is I just, if my wife wants to get a gun and carry it for her protection, I'll get her a pretty pink one. But for me, I'll pass. Um, I'm good. I put my trust in the Lord, and I think Southerners have um, a real bad problem with idolatry. We really do. And it's especially that overflows into the Second Amendment. And I cannot tell you how many Southerners I have met where one of the first things they'll tell you is that they'll shoot you, like right after introducing themselves. Um, and it just doesn't strike me as super Christian that Southerners are so quick to talk and brag and worship our guns. So again, my views tonight did not necessarily honestly reflect my personal opinion. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer, and it's funny because you bring that up because that was actually something that I was going to bring forth.
Yeah.
Is it's it seems like idolatry in terms of how a lot of brothers and sisters approach the Second Amendment, and what's unfortunate is that many don't look into the history of the Second Amendment because if they look at the time when it was drafted, right, and the mindset of the you know the heads of government at the time, those people would probably be scared and worried about the fact of the proliferation of guns, right? Mainly because you you know an over a legitimate the legitimate chance of persistent violence against other states, for example, or even the government is something real. And so now the government has to compensate for that. And this is why you have the militarization of police and the aggression of police, where depending on where you live, obviously, right, a police officer is just always going to assume that you have a weapon on you. And so in their mind state, right, they're going to look at they're not they're going to approach you in a way to where, okay, this person is probably armed, I'm going to automatically be on edge. You see what I'm saying? But the other part of it is, i think i think I think gun ownership, and what you brought up, it using it is clean, right? I don't know if you guys ever, any of you ever been in like fist fights where even blades are drawn, right? Like it's very dirty, it's very painful, right? And the idea of just kind of just pulling a trigger and just like walking away, there's not, there's no super inherent risk necessarily, and so people don't think twice. And I think the idea of having that kind of power, as individuals, is part of the reason why idolatry takes place when it comes to this specific amendment. So with that in mind, would you agree that the issue isn't necessarily the ownership of guns, it's more so the idolatry and the culture surrounding guns that's the issue?
Yes. And I would say that if you, as a believer, can identify that as a point of idolatry in your life, then you should definitely abstain from it.
Yeah, but how? But like, if a believer will be like, well, I don't think I'm doing that. It's my, my God given right. Like, what are you going to tell them to have them look at it from the perspective that you're trying to show? Like, how do they? What standard are you going to give them to determine if they're engaging in idolatry? Because I love guns, right? At some point, I'm going to start a crazy collection of M1911s from different dates, and that they were manufactured, right? But I'm not going to use them. To be frank, I'm not going to use them. If I do use a gun, it's going to be for hunting, right?
If you're asking me if I would be in favor of criminalizing Christians owning guns to prevent
No,
idolatry, no, not at all.
no.
I don't think we can criminalize sin, right? Because it's all about a heart position.
Yeah, so and I think that's very important, right? But my initial question is, how are you going to look at someone who's engaging in, gun idolatry, and let them know, hey, you're engaging in gun idolatry? Because owning a gun comes with having a sense of power ultimately,
I
right?
mean, at
Power over
Proverbs,
your life and
guys,
others.
at Proverbs, guys, we do it all the time. We haven't specifically talked about guns, but we hammer idolatry. And idolatry can be anything. It manifests in King James onlyism, it manifests in patriotism. We see it manifesting in the new Christian nationalist movement. Like, there's all sorts of areas in a Christian's life where they are prone to idolatry. And as the lost children of Israel intermingled with the nations, I believe it's just in our DNA to follow idols, which is why we are always stumbling with that block. But if we can circle back around to this, I want to let Scott, the Mirror Point, have a say, and also Eastern Thomist.
Hey guys, and really
Hey,
good
Scott.
debate. Hey Robin, how you doing? You did really good.
Thank you.
Both you guys did
Thank you
really
for
really
coming.
well job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and on this topic, I mean, honestly, I can easily argue either way. I used to be a Christian myself, um, very studious about the Bible, but I understand the pacifistic sort of argument that Robin was making, especially in relation to turn the other cheek and all of those sort of things. But also, the question I think is whether um, pacifism was promoted by Jesus the teacher for ethical reasons or practical reasons. That's really the question, because that would kind of make Jesus a hypocrite in a way, because we read in Revelations that he's gonna slaughter a lot of people when he comes back. So I don't think it'd be beyond Jesus himself to you know use violence against his enemies. But at the same time, he said to pray for your enemies and those who persecute you. So we get mixed signals from the teacher. Uh,
Well, I think you got to, look at what Jesus tells the people questioning him about divorce. And they say, well, Moses permitted us to give a woman a certificate of divorce. And Jesus doesn't say Moses was wrong and we didn't tell him to do that. He says it was because of the hardness of your hearts. But from the beginning, it was never so. God intended one man and one woman to be in union. He never intended or desired or wanted them to ever go through a divorce, but because of the condition of their hearts, man's fallen state, he allowed it in those cases. And I think that goes with a lot of with the situations. I don't think it's that he's a hypocrite. I think that what he fully desires from us and what he allows us to do or permits us to do are not always the same thing. That makes sense?
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And when I was a Christian, I kind of came to that balance. Where I kind of looked at it like, well, basically there was a reason that the first century Christians didn't join the army. And part of it was because, what was entailed in joining the Roman army was, of course, looking at the ruler as a divine being himself. You had to pray to him. You had to do animal sacrifices in order to gain favor with the gods to win a war. Um, the goddess or the god of war was to be prayed to, and just a lot of pagan Roman sort of things were entailed in it. So it wasn't necessarily that they didn't join the Roman army because they were such pacifists. It could be argued that they were just avoiding, spiritual adultery. And so it could be argued the same way for why, Christians did carry swords. They did have weapons, um, but they rarely used them. I would imagine. I don't think there's any really documented cases of early Christians before the second century church where you have situations like with the Zealots where they're rebellious against the Roman armies or anything like that. Because, like you had brought out in in your debate, that they were a minority. So it can be argued that they were pacifistic because they didn't want to get, killed for no reason.
Or it could be argued that power corrupts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the other side of the coin. That's part of it. And like you see today with people making guns idols, like people say, "Oh, God and I will die by guns, God, and the Bible." Like it's all one cultural thing. It's all kind of connected.
No, I agree with that point, and I would say, like, I have a pretty good friendship with Robin, and when she thinks of Christian, I hope she doesn't think of those type of people and automatically think gun toting, gun loving, not that owning a gun and being a Christian's bad, but I hope that's not the identity she thinks of when she thinks of a Christian. I hope she thinks of someone more like me who's trying to be loving and trying to be more understanding with people I disagree with, and just trying to be more agreeable when possible, like Scripture teaches. But let's try to get Eastern Thomist in after Robin makes her point.
Stephen, I struggle with that a lot, especially now with the Christian nationalist movement. I struggle with that. I would have said, even after I stopped being a Christian, that there is, when I think of the word Christian, I think of someone like my grandmothers, even like Jimmy Carter as our president, someone who spent their life in service of people. My grandmothers, I never heard either one of them utter many cross words about other people. They did not involve themselves in gossip, and they would not have ever. I mean, they were both strong women, but they were just very kind and gentle to people, and they were not judgmental. And I like to try to prefer to keep that ideal as Christian, and I think that that is better for the church. I think that the current tendency to be judgmental of everybody and be in power and stuff is very unchristian like. I do not, and even though I don't believe in the truth about the Christianity, I believe that if someone does believe that, that they should hold themselves to a different standard than what I do. And yeah, that's why I'm friends with you, because I do see that out of you, and Achilles too, and Batman there,
We love you, Robin.
and Scott. So
All right, Eastern Thomist, you've been quiet for a while. Would you like to get in on this?
Yeah. So as many people know, I'm Catholic. I'm probably the only Catholic on this panel. Now, the Catholic Church does not hold an official position on the Second Amendment, mostly because it's a regional American type of issue. However, my personal opinion is generally I support it. I think that one of the things that Pope Leo XIII and Pope Pius XI and other Catholic thinkers like Dorothy Day and G.K. Chesterton make the argument of is they believe in this thing called the principle of subsidiarity, which is the idea that every man's dignity is to serve the common good, but not to serve the common good in a way where they become usurped into the state. They make the argument that every person serves the common good. Every man and every family is a society unto themselves, which is still unified with the common good of a state, but ultimately doesn't just serve the state's interests alone. They're still given their own rights and their own kind of space to do what they want, uh, so long as it helps the common good, so that some people can be causes unto themselves in distinct ways. And so the argument Pope Francis, when he talked about this, the example he gave was in the book of Genesis, when God gives Adam, he makes him head of the garden. He kind of makes Adam a cause unto himself when he makes him the head of the garden. Now, how does this relate to something like the Second Amendment? Well, one of the things that St. Thomas Aquinas says is that self-defense is the most integral right, the most integral natural right that a man has, in a sense that a person has a human dignity. It is befitting that that person love that dignity that God gave them and want to protect that. And so he said, because of that, self-defense was the most integral right that a person had. I think if we tie this to subsidiarity, I think if self defense is the most integral right, then I think it is also befitting that certain individuals or certain groups be given a society or the space to create a society unto themselves where they can defend themselves. And I think the Second Amendment in the United States is a good way to do that. The Second Amendment allows people to, it was mostly written in regards to private militias at the time. And I think that that is a good start in allowing people to be, to kind of form their own line of defense in a way that protects them, but is still aligned in the common good. Now, the core caveat here is in the common good. If something
Okay,
exceeds
hold
or
up.
goes against,
Pause there. That's a lot to unpack. Robin or Scott, do you guys want to address any of those points? There was a lot
Can,
to unpack there.
Go ahead.
uh, I
I've
was
got
gonna
my groceries are here, so go ahead.
I was gonna ask him to translate all of that to a stupid American, but yeah, come on, bro. You typically I can keep up with you, but tonight is,
Explain it to us like we're five.
okay.
yeah.
So the idea that these modern Catholic thinkers come up with is every single person is a part of the common good, which means they all benefit each other. It takes a village to raise a village, but at the same time, not everyone is the same. Everyone is given a distinct role and is given the freedom to express that role. In a way that is good, but is still benefiting the whole. So it's not like this person is just doing their own thing and they're not engaging with the rest of their community or the rest of whatever other locality they live in. They're still helping the good of that town, but they're given the space to do it in their own regard. And the example Pope Francis gives when he argues for this is Adam in the book of Genesis, when Adam is made the head of the Garden of Eden. God, the first thing he does is he makes Adam a cause unto himself. So, Adam, when he becomes head of the garden, he is given his own space to make decisions as to how this garden is going to be run, but he's still expected to do it in a way that affects the common good. Now, as I tie that to the Second Amendment, I would say that since self defense is an integral right, I think it's befitting that people have their own space and their own kind of accessibility to defend themselves and be a society unto their own in ways that protect their self-defense and protect their well-being, but not in a way that ultimately contradicts the common good.
Well, I'm confused because America is not the only country. Every country has laws that allow people to defend themselves. The question is more so about the about gun ownership, right? Because
Oh,
you can,
certainly, certainly. Well,
yeah, like,
that's the big emphasis is the common good. I would say here in a country like the United States, we have the biggest military in the world. I mean, the United States government could not only kill you in an instant, they could blow up your entire town. And so I think what self defense laws and what laws are allowed, I think entirely depend on the strength of the military and the strength of the authority of that state. I would say in a country like, Africa, or like in a small third world country in Africa, where they don't really have a strong military, allowing people to have AK-47s may not be the best idea because then a person can just walk into City Hall, kill everybody, and take over the government. And then you're going to have chaos and confusion. But in a place like the United States, the original idea of the Second Amendment when the founding fathers wrote it was to allow private militias to exist and allow societies, people to be societies unto their own, still aligned with the common good.
May
however,
I, may I jump in to ask a question? When you're done, I am Batman. Go
okay,
ahead.
okay, yeah, yeah. So, I first of all, I don't think that position follows necessarily, mainly because the the what for one the U.S. government and the army, I mean, it has nukes, right? By nature of having nukes, no amount of guns the citizenry have, right, will do anything to stop the government. Not only that, the government has access to air power, right? They have access to even more powerful weapons. So I don't think the private gun ownership aspect of our society is grounded in fear of the government. To me, it's clear that it's grounded in fear of your neighbor, right? And let's keep it a buck. A lot of people, realistically, shouldn't own guns because of their mental state and their mental circumstances, right? Road rage is a massive issue. If I were to show you a country where gun ownership is high, right? Where homicide rates, suicide rates, and stuff like that is like super low, right? I would point to Switzerland. Those people love guns, like a lot, right? However, they don't look at guns the same way as Americans do, right? A matter of fact, despite having um, even more stricter gun laws, their gun ownership is crazy high.
And if
Um,
you and
I
if you
thought
look at
they is that where they're like there's one country where actually I think they're required to own a gun.
In Switzerland, I wouldn't say it's like a requirement, but you do. It's a requirement to go through training,
Okay.
consistent training
here
with
too,
your weapon.
and psychiatric examinations and
Yep.
a lot of paperwork. But to your point, I am Batman. It if you look at crime rates worldwide, you'll see that the countries that have the stricter gun laws have the highest deaths from guns because
What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Who? What country?
um, every
Because
country
because
that has
I know United
every
States has a pretty high percentage
yeah
of
yeah
this.
but if you leave the United States out of it, then you see a pattern that exists that illegal weapons are superseding the fact that a law exists. Therefore, an
Can you
unarmed,
give me an example?
I can look it up,
That's
but
what I'm doing right now.
I remember I had in the past, and it was very shocking for me as well, that countries that have very strict gun laws, they actually suffer from gun violence, and it's all the illegal weapons that are doing it.
So do they have because you're making a correlation here. Do they have strict gun laws because of the inherent violence and
No,
illegal gun ownership,
no,
or hold on,
yeah,
or is it a situation where the gun laws were already like
in
that,
place, right?
but I mean,
I was
That's the point.
looking,
That because
looking
of
at
the stricter gun laws, more people are unarmed.
no, I'm looking at what I see right here. The countries are Jamaica, Ecuador, Honduras, Belize, Mexico, then the United States. I would say those five countries probably have like very corrupt, most of them governments, or you know,
Or crime,
like but they're not like they're not. Many of those would
it,
not be considered first world countries.
no. My issue here is that this though shows a correlation with
Well,
the
but you
fact that it's not the Second Amendment that is creating all this violence.
but these countries though right here though you cannot put these in with like most
I
first
mean,
world
most,
countries
yeah,
like
most first world countries and,
and then
and
the United
developing
States
countries.
is right behind them though like it's the next one out of all the countries in the world. We've got five, like Mexico is actually considered a first world country, but it is still the government is still laden with cartels and stuff. There's a lot of corruption or has been in the Mexican government for years. And I would say that all of these that are ahead of the United States, and it's the next after all these, none of them are a modern first world country that has a functioning government that is stable and is out of corruption.
I
Um,
mean, you also have to look at the fact that Mexico's government is actually trying to sue US gun manufacturers because the vast majority of guns, illegal weapons that exist in Mexico, is actually being sent from the US there, to there.
yes,
And that's part of the reason why the cartels are so powerful. They're getting straight up military grade US weapons,
yes,
My
right?
my point.
And
My
hold
Okay,
on,
go ahead.
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
And so they now have to adjust their gun laws to be more strict because their country is flooded with guns from the United States. As for Jamaica, to give you another example, the reason why there's so much illegal guns in Jamaica, right, is because the corruption in the government where they used violence. They imported those weapons and gave them out to the citizens, well, the really shitty ones, right, to engage in violence to get votes.
yes,
So, and as a result, they made gun laws tighter. And Mexico is it's the same it's the same reaction. So it's not that the people that those countries inherently were against guns, right? Because it's not crazy difficult to get a gun in Jamaica, right? Legally speaking, right? It's just that they've made it tighter because there's an influx of illegal guns, and a lot of those guns are built right here in the U.S.
yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that like the fact that the gun laws are stricter in those countries that are ahead of the United States, every one of them is an example of a country that has either been involved in corrupt government or is probably susceptible to receiving a lot of illegal guns through our
Right,
like our.
right.
So I don't think so. I kind of think that doesn't actually correlate with like there's correlation Achilles, but not causation is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
Yeah,
but my point is being get summed up here by Golden Rule TV, that when you have stricter gun laws, it is those that read the laws and try to respect the laws that will be unarmed. The criminals just won't care.
Yeah, but I
So
don't. I don't.
there is some
Sure,
balance
but
that needs to be kept,
let's look at
right?
first world countries, right? Let's look at first world
Even
countries with strict
even in
gun laws and
first
look at their crime
even in
rates.
first Batman, even in first world countries, um, when a criminal comes to you holding a gun, or there was one case in the U.S. that it didn't make it in the news. Somebody gets in a restaurant, takes out a shotgun, and says, "I'm going to shoot everybody if you don't give me your money." And before he completes the sentence, he receives a bullet at the back of his head by a woman officer that was wearing civil clothes, and she was carrying her personal tool. All right. So that didn't make the news much because they are trying to push this whole, oh, we have a problem. But this is what
Let's not
happened.
get
This is what,
into the
yeah,
conspiracy
you're right.
stuff.
You're
Let's
right.
look
But
at the
this is what
numbers.
I
happened.
mean, to be fair, for every story like that, there's 10 stories about some confused old man walking into a stranger's house, and the people in the house overreact and put a hole in somebody's amnesiac grandpa with
I'm
dementia who
with
just
you. I
lost. Things
agree.
like that happen too.
I agree. That is
Or
real.
a teenage woman girl walking up and knocking on the wrong door and being killed by an old man who is sitting there,
Yeah.
just opens the door and shoots her and kills her. Like that
Yeah.
Right.
happened.
So instead
Yeah,
of going
I
down,
think we need to avoid falling into a binary of guns are all good or guns are all bad. Like anything else, it's how you use them. Guns can be a good
agree.
thing that defend life and protect freedom, and they can also be a terrible thing that tear people's lives away and cause horrific accidents with high moral cost.
That's a
Yes.
good point.
Agree.
What I would
Agree.
say is that we have for lack of a better word, we have a spiritual problem in this country.
Right.
First of all,
Hello, I
we
got
have
kicked out.
Yeah.
we
Welcome
have
back.
a system, a secular system or a religious system, however you want to look at it, that unfortunately can't solve for poverty for X amount of reasons. We don't have to get into that. But we also have a social system that glorifies violence and glorifies self
Yeah,
defense and
absolutely. Yeah,
macho.
you can have people getting blown up and mowed down in your movies, and it's
Yeah, I
PG.
mean,
You show one boob, and it's like triple X rated.
exactly. And the thing about bringing this back to Christianity is, Christianity doesn't really center self defense. I mean, basically,
Yeah,
what
it's about
Christianity does,
sacrifice. Yeah.
it basically looks at this present world order as temporary. Number one, political power structures are under corrupt spiritual authority by the devil. Ultimate justice as future is not secured through human intervention or force. It's going to be taken care of at the end of days when Jesus comes back and establishes his kingdom.
Amen.
So that was the hope that the Christians had even in the early days. And been even today. They see Satan as the ruler of this world, the God of this age, and they rightly look at the spirit of this world as kind of full of all the things you guys are talking about: corruption,
Thank you, Scott.
idolatry, violence, glorification, machismo, all of these sort of things. And I think that's the problem: is we live in a very dualistic world, very tribal, very dichotomous. And what's going to really help pivot changes in societies is simply when we start to look at the other as us, that there is no other ultimately. That's really the only way you're gonna solve that. And it sounds impossible. It almost sounds kind of airy fairy, but we see that in some Christian communities that those things are achieved very easily, not just with Christians, with Buddhists and other religious systems in smaller communities. Maybe that's achievable. Maybe even in other countries, like you mentioned, Switzerland, Japan, where there's more
Canada
of that sort of stuff
Canada
going on.
has a high gun ownership, and they don't have. Can we let Terry get in and say
Yeah.
something in a minute after you get done there, please, Achilles?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Scott, but like I noticed she hadn't got to say anything yet.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
Terry, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for doing this conversation. Um, Let's see what I got this specific avatar up. I don't know if y'all can see it very well
I'll
from
bring
where
it
I'm
up.
sitting, but yeah,
Mm,
you can't really make it out.
What does
Y-
it say?
Men and
It's,
women were created equal.
and then on the bottom it says, "And Smith and Wesson makes damn sure it stays that way." I
Based,
thought Rabbit would like that.
outrageously based,
This is a
reaching levels of base that shouldn't be
this
possible.
is
It
a
was a
really
group from the
peculiar
70s
topic.
called Women Armed for
Yeah.
Protection, where they did this kind of propaganda. We're basically teaching women about responsible gun ownership and how to use a weapon.
Yes. Yeah.
So
This was a
I
strange
Absolutely.
think,
debate.
in reality, where
I
we live in
hope
a world where
everyone
there is
listening
evil, we need
knows
to
the.
be,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. When we're in a world that's where we have to face a lot of evil, we need to be mindful and not be careless with our own safety because we are precious as well.
Yes.
And especially women, if you have anyone that relies on you for anything or even friends, your life matters. And I don't think that the fact that men are so much stronger than women should mean that a man could take your life in a situation. I think that people who are weaker need to be protected by those who are stronger, and strength and protectiveness is a virtue in people, and it's something that we need.
I agree, Terry.
Firearms are a phenomenal equalizer. And also, if you use them intelligently, you might not even have to shoot them. Like a good shotgun, that sound, that's like a magic spell that makes people start rethinking their life choices. Like when they hear it, it's like, oh, I should maybe go back to school or put in some job
I mean,
applications.
if you're
And
so
that
you're
is one of the things about firearms that makes it so that I'm in favor of them. I'm very much in favor of the Second Amendment. What I'm also in favor of is stridency and restrictions because I know a lot of people that should not own the firearms that they have, that they do not know the basic rules of firearm safety. They do not practice safe maintenance, and I think stridency will help remove that kind of uh, unresponsible ownership, and it will reduce accidents. And because accidents are probably one of the worst things about guns, along with self harm, those two things would make it a lot harder for anybody to be anti gun if we did address those things.
Yes, I
can I
agree.
can I just say so I don't okay, let's keep it a buck.
But
If
I
you
hope
are in an
everybody on this
area
panel and everybody listening knows at least the four basic rules of firearm safety, right? Trigger discipline, muzzle discipline, always assume the firearm is loaded and
well,
never point it at anything
no,
unless you plan to
yeah.
put a bullet in it, and always be aware of what's around and especially immediately behind whatever you're shooting at. Memorize those rules and practice them, and there's a good chance you're not going to end up accidentally hurting yourself or someone else with your firearms. That doesn't completely eliminate the chance. I've seen firearm safety instructors harm themselves with their firearms, and it's always because they aren't practicing one of those four basic rules.
All right. Let's say hi to the
Hello?
slanger.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you, button.
I just wanna respond real quick. I listen, if you live in an area where everyone owns a gun, everyone is equal. There's an equalizer between every individual, right? And so just like in any situation where you get the jump on someone, right? Whomever, uses their weapon first is likely going to be the person who is going to succeed. The only difference is that guns just make it
Is
easy.
somebody talking right now? If they are, I can't hear them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, somebody
Oh.
is talking. Maybe you wanna refresh your page. I don't know what's up.
So like the idea that like if you're in an area that a gun is like it's an equalizer. I mean, sure, if you're in an area where no one else has guns, but if everyone and their grandma and 10-year-old owns a gun and knows how to use a gun, I mean, it's not really an equalizer. Like functionally speaking, it just cancels out. So I agree that, you know, at this point, everyone, depending on the state you live in, if there's a proliferation of guns, you should absolutely own guns, especially if you're a woman.
Yes. All right, let's let Christian say something here, or
That seems
Sla-
that
slug
seems like a good
slanger.
idea, Robin. I like what the brother said, that if you're going to point that thing, get ready to use that thing. And that's really all I have to add to this conversation.
that's it. All your wisdom.
No,
That's all
no,
you.
there's
Nah,
something.
you got to give Bible verses, bro.
You
Yeah,
want
Bible
my
there's
honest
verses,
something
opinion?
else.
and
You
you
want my
got to
honest
preach.
opinion?
Yeah,
I can.
preach.
Yes.
I
Let's
have a
go.
question for Slug Slinger.
Okay.
Do we point
What
a
he
gun in
said.
the name of Jesus or in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit?
You know what? Ooh, can I answer? Only if it's a water gun and it's a Baja baptism.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna freak Achilles out.
You got to get the Baja blessing. But, anyways, my honest opinion, and this is going to be a hot take, and all these conservatives are about to not like me. I believe that what Jesus said was live by the sword and die by the sword. I don't own a gun.
That
Um,
was the thing that was like me and Steven when we decided
Beta.
to debate. That was
I don't. I
that
should get that sound. It's
that
a
was the
great.
thing that we like, because actually me and him have the opposite opinion on firearms, kind of that the position that we took. So it was kind of weird. He was like, and that's why he said he didn't want to know if he wanted to say that public or not. But like, but all of us, I think everybody here, it seems like, supports um, like some kind of common sense gun laws. I mean, like I don't like using the word common sense very much, but I think that when it comes to gun laws, that we should be able to use common sense, and I think that we've let our lawmakers and the lobbyists for the gun lobby um, decide that proliferation of guns among the is more important than public safety. Um, like every time we have a school shooting, like little kids who are indefensible, they have no defense whatsoever, being mowed down by some 18-year-old who was allowed to purchase two AR-15s on the day that he turned 18. Um,
I don't know, Sister Robin. I think we should listen to Sister Terry. Give even the 5-year-old a gun. Let them all
I
bring
don't
bring
think
them all to
Terry believes
school.
that.
It it's
Can
the
I offer some
equalizer.
clarification?
Let me try to
You
Well,
know
real quick,
what? If
Achilles.
there's
make
a
an argument.
situation where something's happened, there's a crisis, and there's, you know, let's say the parents, have disappeared, and there's a 5-year-old and like their 3-year-old sibling, and someone comes in the house, and the 5-year-old takes the gun and shoots them, I'd be okay with that.
I
Okay.
understand that position. I do. Real quick though,
Like, I mean,
one
I can't say
clarification.
that there would never be a situation where a 5-year-old using a gun wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah,
But I mean, I
I
don't
think
know
that
that the
guns.
government should give a 5-year-old a license to own a gun, if that's what you're saying. Like, no, I think there should be some level of competency, but I think that about a lot of things that we don't have levels of competency to have. And I think the issue in our country is a lot of people have illegal guns as well,
Guns are
you
mean.
know, underground. Meaning, or people like in places where there are strict gun laws, the wrong people have guns.
Real
And
quick, I
they're
just
the
want to
only
jump in for a second.
ones, and
Two
that's a
seconds.
problem.
2 seconds. I do want to offer a clarification. I am not against the Second Amendment. I am not against the right to bear arms or any of that. I just, as a religious conviction, choose not to carry or own a firearm. It's not that I'm against the right to do so. I wanted to offer that as a clarification.
Are you saying that vengeance is the Lord's, and that's the reason why you don't carry a gun, Brother Pack?
That's
No,
not what I'm saying, sir.
let me
I would say Brother White thinks
just
that
let me ask a question.
believes
Somebody,
God protects him.
how
Are
Yes.
long
you
has this? How
judging?
long? how
As
long
gun
has it
nuts?
been since I've been saying I want to ask a question? Is it an hour yet, or is it like
Okay, we'll let you
45?
ask a question.
You're the
Thank
host.
you. I was supposed to be the host, right? Okay. Um, I got a question that is really bugging me, and you know my position already because I struggle. I am Greek. I love your constitution. I understand what government can do if their populace is not armed, if you don't have a militia. So I'm there in the middle, and I'm always a supporter of the Second Amendment. And I've made videos where I'm telling Americans that it's your last resort against this government, which I consider, I don't want to say party, government. I consider it tyrannical in a
Tyrannical,
lot,
it
yes,
is.
in a lot of ways. But it's not just this party. So, but anyway, I'm just throwing this in to go to my question, but just to give you an idea of who it is that is asking. All right. So my question to Mr. Slanger mostly, because and I am Batman, I guess. If you guys can help me, because what I understand from the Bible is that when Jesus arrived, the Jews were waiting on him to start a revolution, and he was very clear, showing them, and throughout the rest of his teachings, that we are not fighting for this world at all. And what belongs to Caesar, let Caesar have it. And when he was referencing Caesar, he was referencing the most tyrannical empire that existed, and it had enslaved half of the world. So, um, my question is, with that fact, based on that fact, is even being armed against the government, I mean, for the potential that it turns tyrannical, is that actually a Christian value? I'm not saying it should go out because I struggle with being fair, democratic, but at the same time, I am a Christian and I am looking forward to the next world. And if they come for me, I'm not going to fight back. This is what I have understood the message of my Messiah to be. So,
Um, I think that's a really good question. So, my general position is that as a Christian, your only participation in society should be summed up to, you know, obeying laws that go with the with what the Lord has commanded you, and you can leave everything else up to the world, because I feel like if you're getting a weapon for the purposes of defending against a government that could potentially, become tyrannical. I mean, how's that any different than getting a gun because your neighbor could potentially get angry at you one day and attack you, right? I don't like that reason for getting a gun. Um, However, I'm perfectly fine with people just owning guns. I like the Swiss view on guns, where
but
every ownership.
I am Batman.
Go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead.
um, I'm trying to see my question. I'm trying to reel you back a little bit from to the question, from an opinion to the question, because we all share a common ground in an opinion that we need to be able to defend ourselves. Yes, but from what I have seen, I'm trying to see if the Second Amendment itself is actually not what Christ has called us to do, even if the government becomes tyrannical. The Roman Empire was tyrannical. He
I mean,
never,
don't
right?
misunderstand the Second Amendment and its current interpretation of private gun ownership has nothing to do with with the owning guns for the potential tyrannical government. A matter of fact, it's
Wait,
illegal.
it's clearly stated, I am Batman. It's clearly stated in the amendment that that's the reason why people should be armed.
Let, let me finish.
Okay.
Right? It is illegal, right, to cause any kind of insurrection in any state government or the federal government. And so if you, for example, if the federal government sees you as an individual or as a group compiling guns, right, with, let's say you have a manifesto that you're compiling weapons in your little militia to fight the government, there is a good chance they will they will approach you and probably lock you up for conspiracy, right?
Okay.
Just just
Christian,
just to let you know.
Christian, did you hear my question, or were you away? Because
I'm sorry, Achilles. Do you mind restating? And I apologize.
Robin, can you sum it up for me? Because I take time and it's already late for me, so I'm gonna take a lot of time again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Achilles. I got distracted.
It's okay. It's okay. But just to save us time, if Robin wants to summarize my question. Okay. Now
let's
Robin's not
let's hear that accent, Robin. Come on.
here. Yeah. Try to do it in my accent too. Okay. Now she's not here. Okay, Christian, if you're busy, because I see that there's stuff happening there.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay. My issue, and that issue comes from a person who is for the Second Amendment, who has made videos in the past telling Americans that hang on to that right of yours. They're trying to take it away. But if I examine the message that Jesus is giving me, it is a message for another world and for no rebellion in this one. And the Jews at the time, they were expecting him to free them from the Roman occupation.
Hey.
Hey, was that for me or for the cat? It probably was for the cat. Okay. And my question is, because the Second Amendment is clearly there for defending yourself against the possible tyrannical government, and I want to add to what I said earlier that I do believe that the government is tyrannical there. It's not just there. I think the European Union is tyrannical as well. There is a lot of people suffering, and there is nothing you can do. We ain't armed though, and we don't have a constitution that says you have to be armed in case that happens to be able to replace the government. So the whole essence of the Second Amendment, according to the message of our Messiah, which was not to go against the Roman Empire, but to give to Caesar whatever belongs to Caesar, um, combined with all the other message about another world and not fighting for this one, my question is the Second Amendment actually Christian? Does it align with the Christian value? We know, like Stephen, they will come for us, as we might be dead before it happens, but at some point they will come for us. This system is going to go against the Christians. Jesus said they will hate you just as they've hated me.
I think I understand the question, Achilles. Do you mind if I address it?
Of course, I'm asking you. Hello, Brother Daniel.
So, oh, hey, Daniel. So there's a
Oh
question.
no, I can't hear anybody. But at
No.
least I can speak. I'm just going to say I love the Second Amendment. I love guns. I'm a Christian, but I still think that we can have guns. And also, war can be a necessary evil. But I can't hear anybody, so I'm going to pop out. I'm sorry.
Okay,
My
brother.
technology's not good.
Noted.
I'd say
Okay,
that's
That was a
idolatry.
beautiful little interlude.
so my thoughts, Achilles, are thus. I can answer the question as a citizen of a nation, or I can answer the question as a Christian, and those are two different things.
My point exactly.
I was born as an American. My parents were American, and so when I was born, I was an American. I had their American responsibilities and the American rights. Now, at some point during my life, I became a Christian. And according to what I understand about the Bible, we should strive to be the best citizens, the best neighbors we can wherever we find ourselves. But I'm no longer an American. I'm a Christian now. My
Amen.
investment is not in this world. I'm not looking to establish anything in this world. This world's fights are not my fights. Jesus said, if my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would fight for it. So he was saying
Amen.
that the reason they don't resist you is because this is not my kingdom. So while as an individual citizen of America, of course I support the Second Amendment. As a Christian, that's not my fight. I don't have any dog in that fight. I've walked away from that world.
My point exactly. My conflict. Let me say that I have the same conflict. And can you now answer the question as a citizen of the next kingdom?
I think so. It's like you said about trying to live in harmony with Caesar. As long as I'm in America, I'm going to try to be a Christian example in America because I have that opportunity. I'm going to try to be a good citizen, a good neighbor, a good friend. I'm going to try to do anything in my power to cause people to see the Lord Jesus and consider him from my life. But people get too caught up in politics who are Christians, especially in the West. And we get this idea that somehow we're going to vote somebody in and we're going to impose our will. That's not what happens. The Bible says God lifts up one and God puts down another. And it says that God gives the people a leader after their own heart. So we're not going to impose our will. God is going to have his will. And I think it's good for us to understand that.
Amen. I'm with you 100%.
So you think I won then? Is that what you're trying to say, Christian? You think
That
I
sounds like what I said, Robin. I don't know.
won? Okay.
No, Stephen tried hard to defend something that he admitted is not his exact position. Christians should not be fighting for this world, and I understand what happens if we don't. So that
Well,
is
you're
our.
fighting a losing battle, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do everything in our power to do right. I'm not saying that at all. But I think we have to understand that that's a losing battle. There is no saving this world. There is no saving America. All of this is prophesied to burn. You're not going to salvage it.
Communism.
What?
Right,
Hey, Daddy
right.
Trump's gonna say this.
Well, Trump
What do
might.
you
I don't
mean
know. We'll
there's no
see.
saving America?
We'll
I
see.
mean,
What kind of
the
attitude
book,
is that?
the
No
book of
wonder.
Revelation,
No
the
wonder
book of
we're
Revelation.
failing when good Christian men say there's no saving America. No wonder there's no saving America.
Do
What
The
you
about
believe
your
that there's
faith of a
saving
mustard
America?
seed?
the book of Revelation never says anything about a nation being saved by its people. It kind of has a bad ending for this world and every kingdom in it, but the Christians not. Let me
Yeah,
say hi to
yeah,
our
we'll be
brother
okay
Peter.
regardless. But like God also gives us a great inheritance, and we have a responsibility to pass that down to others. Until
I mean,
he
I
comes
believe in
back,
doing the
we
best that we
shouldn't
can. I'm
be
not
like, oh,
saying
well, the
that.
world's just, gone to hell. Let's just let it. No, we should try to preserve what God has given us. The
What
enemy's
method do you
always going to try
suggest
to
to do
attack
that?
that.
What method do you
And
suggest to
part
do
of
that?
that is the nation we have. I don't
Terry,
know.
Terry,
I'm
what
just a
method do you
girl.
suggest that we do that?
Will not talk defeatist like there's no saving America.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, we tried voting and we voted in a pedophile.
Oh, love it.
I mean,
Ooh.
I understand why they voted for him. I get it. I'm an American. I understand what it's like to throw a wrench in the system. I sympathize with that view. But in our best efforts to save this country, we put a pedophile in leadership.
You got to see PDF file.
Man, I'm
Yeah,
not
you should
even
see
talking
PDF.
about that. Why are you making it about that?
Well, I'm only saying that we tried to
Why are you
save it, and
making
that
it
was the
about who the
result.
president is? It's so much deeper than that. It's about who we are as citizens.
I believe
If
in
we
that.
are the best
Yeah, plus
citizens, we're gonna like take responsibility for this country, the part of it that God has given to us, however small, and try to be the best damn citizens we can.
I agree with that, Terry.
Okay, so don't talk defeatist.
Hello, Rich.
How you doing, Robin?
I'm doing good. Did you enjoy the debate?
No, Thursday at 7, I have my online class, so I just tuned in when that ended. So I was hoping you guys were still alive. You know,
Yeah, we're
so
still alive. We didn't shoot each other. We did not shoot each other.
I guess I'd like to point out one political thing, if I could, about the Second Amendment. Um, we know why we have it. You know, it's to because the founding fathers are wise enough to know that eventually a tyrannical government would try to rise to power, and we had needed the power in the citizens to keep that from happening. Right
No, I
now,
would disagree. I don't think that's why they made the Second Amendment. But um,
anyway, let me. So that being said, um, I think anybody who tries to get rid of the Second Amendment needs to be declared as a domestic terrorist and be thrown in prison because we have that to maintain the freedoms of this country. I'm not saying we go to war with our own country, but
Yeah, these liberals in jail.
okay,
That's a great idea.
you think that anybody who is opposed to the Second Amendment should be thrown in jail?
I think anybody who tries to take the guns away from the American citizens should be
Well, I mean,
labeled as domestic
through legal,
terrorists and
like
thrown in jail.
legal means. I'm saying no, like not like come and take them.
Huh? What do you
I
mean?
mean, I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment, actually,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that people who are opposed to the Second Amendment deserve to be in jail.
No, I'm not saying opposed to the Second Amendment. I'm saying the people who try to take our guns away should be labeled as a domestic terrorist and thrown in prison.
So,
Yeah,
do you
but
think that when Trump said that you couldn't carry a firearm to protest, that he should be in prison?
That's a different story. Carrying a firearm to a protest is not what the Second Amendment was about.
Okay.
We are given the right to defend this country, not to protest in an aggressive way with firearms. And
Okay.
when you bring firearms to a protest, it's showing an act of aggression.
It is. So, carrying a gun is considered an act of aggression.
No, carrying a gun is not an act of aggression. Carrying a gun to something like a protest where you have a statement trying to enforce it with a weapon, even carrying one, that is not what the Second Amendment was about.
See, I completely disagree
uh,
with that. I mean, I think that a person, a United States citizen who has a legal license to carry a gun, can carry a gun anywhere. It's if they do not brandish that weapon, they're not threatening anyone with it.
what
Um,
if but what
so
if it's like one of these protests where they just like they'll have like rallies where they just like show up with guns to just be like, yeah, we support the Second Amendment. But and that's kind of like a thing that happens
Well,
sometimes. I mean, I think that
so
that you could very easily tip that to like punish people for just having guns. I don't see why like a bunch of gun nut guys can't get together with their guns and be like, "Oh, hey man, nice gun," you know.
I
it,
agree with Terry.
it's such
One second, guys.
But that could be, a lot of those guys are political though. They're often on the right. I just think that kind of we can't legislate that because that means that these guys aren't going to have their little gun nut club fun time.
Terry, I
See,
just want you to know that on the left we have guns too. We just don't.
Oh, I know. I grew up
He doesn't
liberal. My
make a
dad had
public
guns.
spectacle.
Well, I'm from Alaska though,
Like,
so everybody has a gun. If you don't have a gun in Alaska, like
yeah.
you could get eaten by a bear.
I usually have a comment, but I won't say it here on Steven's channel. But yeah, we just don't make a public spectacle out of playing with them. Like,
One moment, 1 second here. Richard, can you? I don't want to interrupt the discussion you guys are having, but it is time for me to go. So can you just take over, just end the show when you guys are done talking? That's all. The debate is over. Um,
thank you,
yeah.
Achilles, for moderating, and I guess
Thanks
Steve.
for having me on.
Thank you, and I'll be listening, guys, because this is a very interesting discussion. I think we need
Achilles, can I
to
make one closing remark? Is that okay?
closing. I'm leaving. You don't need to have a closing statement with me. You can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Rich is a host too, so
Yeah.
he can host us.
Hey,
I'll,
Achilles, real quick, what what button do I? The 15-second one, the sequence one, is the video clip I hit before I hit end broadcast? That's our
Yes, that one.
okay.
I need
I
to
see it.
rename this from sequence one. Can I? No.
Okay,
Not
yeah, I'm
now.
looking at it. I see it.
All right.
It's
Have,
fine. I'll take care of it, brother. Good night. God bless you.
have a great night, everybody. God bless you all. I'll see you in the next one.
That'd be Kelly's.
Good night.
I just want
I,
did I don't know if Christian Pike saw the chat, but Cecil had a comment for
I
you.
did. That's what I wanted to make
You
the
saw
closing
that?
remark about
Okay.
here. And I'll be brief. I understand how she feels. I really do. When Trump first announced that he was running and he started announcing his platform, I'm not a voter anyways, but if I was, I sure would have voted for him because I think we need border security, we need common sense tax law, we need to stay out of foreign wars. Like there's a lot of things that he was talking about that as far as politicians go made sense. And in his first term, there's a lot of policies that were enacted that I think made sense. So I'm not anti the political agenda of Donald Trump. I actually think he was very, very revolutionary in some ways, in ways that we needed. But at a certain point, you got to level with yourself. Before these last files were released, it was still kind of a maybe, and I could see people saying, "Well, probably not," But now it's not a maybe anymore. Now you would have to be unreasonable to think he was innocent. So I can
What
agree with
files?
many of his policies without just saying the man is eternally innocent no matter what comes out. That's a ridiculous position.
What files?
A lot of the emails and a lot of the young girls' testimonies that mention him specifically.
What files? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I
There's
don't
like
watch.
the
three. There's
Epstein
like
I don't
three
files.
watch the
million.
population
Oh
Oh,
manipulation.
yeah, Epstein stuff, Rick. That's what I'm referring to.
Oh,
there's
they're
like
bringing that up again because they don't have anything else to pin on Trump. Is that what they're doing?
no, my gosh. Oh my gosh.
The short
By the
answer is
way,
yes, Rich.
Well, let me guess.
by
They
the
all
way,
came on liberal media, right?
a
Yeah,
lot of those
BBC.
files that's documents that's in the files in terms of like the court documents have been public for quite some time. It's just that again, in in our country, it's a situation where a lot of stuff are just open secrets. Like it's technically public information, but
Yeah, but
you know,
I want to say something because a lot of people bring this up, and like I'm not, pushing Biden or whatever, but I've heard this comment about why didn't Biden release these, and I'm going to say this right now:
Well,
Biden
the
could
guy
not
said
release them
first he wasn't
because
going to release anything.
Biden could not release them because there was still an investigation going on. Like, and it was against the law for him to get into and interfere with that investigation. And under Biden, our Department of Justice, but regardless of what people believe about persecuting Trump, was not directed by Joe Biden. He actually put somebody in charge of it and he stayed out of it. That's why they investigated his own son and brought charges against his own son.
Yeah, I also think Biden's guilty, by the way, for whatever that's worth.
Well, I mean, yeah, Biden's guilty of a lot of things. I mean, like he killed a lot of people in wars that he was involved in and stuff. And I'm sure he's done a lot of things.
I
He's
just think
not,
he's
plus
a total creepazoid because all those videos of him like brushing little girls' hair. It's just so weird. It's weird.
plus
yeah,
he
well,
said that if you didn't vote for him, you ain't black. So
yeah, that was kind of
I guess
weird.
I'm not black. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but like he's not, but he did not have access to release those files. Like that's not a thing.
Well, I
Uh,
did want to clarify, like, I'm not against just the Republican agenda. It's not that. I can say that I think that Trump's tax policy is better than the previous administration. I can say that I think that the way that he got really bullish with China was a positive thing. Like, I can see that stuff. But at what point does a person just say, look, after 1,000 testimonials, maybe this guy's guilty of something? At what point do we just be honest with ourselves? Why do we feel the need to always exonerate him?
I don't.
I mean, it doesn't even matter because he has complete immunity. He's literally a king.
Well, it's
Like
just
no one
unreasonable
can
to
charge
always
him
think
with
this person is
anything.
innocent. That's not reasonable.
So
There's a
Yes, I
lot of
don't
people.
know what files were released. I don't watch the media. I think the corporate media is nothing but a propaganda machine, and I consider any side, left or right side of the media just the population manipulation channel. The little bit of information I heard is that some emails were come forward about these girls, saying, what Trump did to them, my first thought is, how do we know those are credible and not, something made up? I know that, for example, like if you ever get in a debate with atheists and you back them against the wall and they have nothing to do, then they just attack. Ad hominem, it's attack. I'm using that as an example for what I see going on with the political system right now.
I
What?
Trump
understand that.
What?
is uncovering so much corruption in his first year of term
Yeah,
that
like
they
Aiden
are
was
doing
doing to me
everything they
today.
can to attack and make him look evil because they're exposing their corruption. That's what I see
Why am I
going on.
like okay? Why has atheists got anything to do with this? I don't.
No,
And
I brought it. I brought it up as an analogy.
who
So
have I attacked other than Trump? And like I do attack Trump, yes, because he was found liable for sexual assault against E. Jean Carroll by a jury of his peers. And the judge actually came out and said after the trial that as far as the anybody would understand the word grape, that he did that. Okay, and there are many allegations of women and many multiple and
I
the
mean, you can
person
if you want to
and
look
the
at the
person
evidence.
the man who ran the Jeffrey Epstein like hearing and trial and all that stuff that in Florida actually served in Trump's first term, and Pam Bondi, who is now the Attorney General, was the woman who actually was over the investigation. So like there is so many things that point to this man being guilty of these crimes against children. He's we've got multiple pictures. He's mentioned 38,000 times in the files, and that's the unredacted part. That's the part that's not even that's the part that they let us see. And
That's the scary thing, Robin. Honestly,
you can go to the Department of
such a
Justice
big
on the
name.
website and you can read the files yourself, and you don't have to get the information from anybody else. They're there.
Yeah, and
real
look at
quick.
the court cases as well, because those, like, if you want evidence, look at the court cases, including the ones that he settles, right? Well, not just him, but a lot of the people who are affiliated with Epstein and him. A lot of them settle those cases because they don't want, criminal charges being brought against them. And to me, I hate that system.
Right. Yeah. It's very corrupt. I
And
mean,
there's
they
he's
can
not the
accuse
only
you of
one.
anything and then you
Yeah.
have to pay them off.
And he's not the only one that's in the files either. There's people on the left
Oh
and the
yeah.
right who are in the files. And I can say this: if anybody on either side is found to have um, raped young women underage women, then they should go to jail for it. It does not matter to me if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Christian, atheist. I don't care. That's all that anybody asks on my side is asking other people to say.
Well, I agree. If they have done that, yes, throw them in prison. I mean, we've got this whole woke agenda by the left that's being pushed upon the American population and the whole world over the last several years. I think there's a deeper agenda along with that, but I think the people who are in charge of that thing need to be, just swept away and done away with, for lack of a better term. I mean,
Done away with.
well,
He wants a one world order. You tell.
Can I jump back in for just a second? Is that all right?
Yes, Christian.
yeah, here,
Just,
go ahead.
Sure.
just to address Seesaw, because I know she's ill with me, and I understand that. Um, I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm not saying that you're intentionally deluding yourself. I'm just saying ask yourself the question: why do you always feel the impulse that he just must be innocent? Do you give anybody else? Do you afford anybody else that right? Is there anybody else that when all the evidence came out, you would first assume that it was fake? Is there anybody else that earns that right? What is it about us that no matter what happens or what's said, that he just must not have done it? Think about something he said recently. He said the only difference in me and Charlie Kirk is that Charlie Kirk says he loves his enemies and I hate my enemies. Is this the person that we want to give this great Christian credibility to? You can agree with someone's politics without covering for their sins. That is not the right thing to do.
Thank you.
I believe we're so divided as a country right now, and I think it's intentional because left or right, whatever the side you are, you're gonna defend your side. Like I remember during the last term, there were people who would scream and shout at me, for showing them, that evidence that Joe Biden had dementia, for example. Not, I don't want to go down a deep
No, he
rabbit hole.
did. He had it for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
well,
now they
it's like
finally
What?
come and agree with
oh,
me.
yes.
But the
I
same
don't
type of
agree with
people
that.
would defend, um, left and right that he didn't have it because they were like they put him on a pedestal and they were, I don't want to say his god or their god or whatever, but there's
No.
something else going on that I can't. I wish I knew psychology better because, but I think that might be what's going on between the masses and why we're so divided more than ever because we're almost there's so much hate and opposing factions in this country right now, and it's scary.
I mean, it's always existed. The only
No,
difference.
not to this extent though. Like I grew up in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Um, there was not this divide. There was
I mean,
not
the
much.
country had a civil war at one point.
Yes, but there was not
I
this
think
much.
that was because they
Being
tried to
killed
install
from
the
it.
federal government, but I don't know.
Well, I mean that was because people wanted to keep on people as farm equipment. Actually, um,
Well, it was one of many things, but yeah.
yeah, and I think that that was a moral a moral thing that we as a country had to experience. And I think that because I think that we were promoting an evil, immoral society that allowed slavery. But I don't, but I, that, like, I liked Joe Biden, all right? I thought he was too old to run for president again. And no, I did not think he was healthy and well enough to be president again. I voted for Kamala. That would not have been my choice for to run to be president. Actually, because I first of all didn't feel like she was a good candidate because I didn't feel like that she would be able to get votes from people that except for like on the Democratic side. So actually, my choice for candidate right now is my governor Andy Brashear, who is a Christian talks about his faith constantly, and he's my governor, and I think he's awesome. And if he runs for president, I hope everybody votes for him.
I vote Brother Pike for president.
You know what, Dean? I would never run for president.
I would vote for
See,
you.
We'll vote
I
for
would
you
vote for
anyway.
you,
see,
Christian.
that's why you're good for the job because you don't want the
I
job.
don't want that job. I promise you.
You
George
would make a good
Washington
one.
said the same thing.
Look,
Guess what?
Not after what I heard today.
look. I have prayed for Trump. I've prayed for Biden. I've prayed for all these people. I will continue to pray for them. I'm not
We're
against them. I'm
supposed
not
to pray
anti
for our
them. What was that, Terry? I'm sorry.
we're supposed to pray for our leaders.
I do, and I really do that. I don't just say it. I really have done that. But I'm not going to cover for their sins.
Oh,
That's why I would vote for you, Christian. If you ran, yes, I
Mhm.
would.
because he'd be telling on other people.
No, because he would have. He has principles.
Because
He
I'll be
has
snitching.
principles, which I think principles are about as hard to find right now as anything in our government. Principles.
I'll be honest
I
with
mean,
you. This whole Epstein thing, and I know they've only released a fraction of it, and the fraction that's been released is heavily redacted. But I'll say this: if one half of what they've released is one half true, then this whole world really is run by pedophiles.
Well, no, duh. We already knew
That's
that.
crazy for that to become like a hard reality. You know what I mean?
Does anybody want to attack this
I
one?
mean,
Or
to be honest, have you looked at how many S word offenders there are in your neighborhood? that are registered,
I'm afraid to
just
check.
the people that have been caught.
Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it?
So, like, I
But
mean,
what does that
this
mean?
evil is everywhere, man.
I mean, I agree with
In
that.
high places, it's in low places.
But does that mean that we just overlook like powerful men who are guilty of that too?
No, not at all.
No, but I do think it's like a lot more complicated than just putting some people in prison, you know?
I was just shocked. Like, I guess we all thought that in the
That's
back of
not
our
gonna like
mind.
make justice happen for like the world. I don't know. I think people get like caught up in this thinking it's gonna
I
make the world a
think
more just place.
I think one of the first things we have to fix is the justice system, because just because people have money, right, your wealth and status in society should not preclude you from receiving the proper justice due. I don't care about your political position. I don't care about your wealth. I don't care about how much you do for the community, right? If it's a situation where the law stipulates, a specific punishment, you shouldn't be able to pay your way or convince your way out of subverting being convicted by your peers. But that to me spits in the face of justice. So when you look at a regular guy who's been charged with murder or assault or whatever, right? Sure, you're going to celebrate and make sure he gets locked up. But when it's a powerful political figure, it either, I mean, they'll probably pay a fine. They'll probably just, not take it to criminal court and just pay the victim off and like and make the whole story disappear. Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's not cool.
Well, that's kind of the whole Michael Jackson thing. He paid so many people off out of court. And one thing I've always said about
Oh
this,
no.
When
well,
you said that, you're like, oh no,
That
No,
Michael.
no, we're talking about Michael Jackson now. I don't want to have to sit up here and
What do I
start
he,
do for a
defending
little
Michael.
button that plays smooth criminal on his
Terry said, I wanted to go on the record that he wrote Thriller.
there was a lot of people in the files that like Noam Chomsky. I kind of
Wasn't that crazy with Noam Chomsky?
I liked Noam Chomsky, and
Well,
come to
okay,
find
what's
out
come out about him?
he's
What's
all
come
over
out
Oh,
the files.
he was
He's
not a
all
good
over the
person.
files, and he was still
like
communicating
doing what though?
He
well,
was,
like he
they
was
were buddy
attended.
buddies on the pizza
Yeah,
and the Coke soda.
yeah, he was like. There's a whole lot of people like Lawrence Krauss was
Lawrence
also like
Krauss. Yeah.
was in there a lot. I mean, we're not talking about just their name showing up. I mean, they were still communicating. Like we know that like Noam Chomsky and Lawrence Krauss
Peter
and
Thiel was a big one. Yeah.
and Trump, all these people were still communicating with Epstein after he was convicted of this.
Way
I'm
after.
That is the
I'm
part
pretty
that
sure
was
brother
very. That is
Achilles'
the
name was
part.
in the files too.
Achilles' name.
That is the part that's really disturbing. Is that all these people who claim to have been buddies with him? I like not like Lawrence Krauss actually publicly defended him. Um, like after and we knew that he came
God,
out
I
and
used to
public.
like Lawrence Krauss too.
I
Yeah,
know
I
so
did too.
needs
And
here.
but he's had like a lot of allegations against him with women who worked for him too. So
He's a creepazoid.
yeah, but
There's a
like
lot of
there's
creepazoids.
there was a lot of names of people in there, and Pat like Elon Musk is all over it, and I think his brother.
Another enemy of the Democrats.
Yeah, his brother Kimball was all over it. You know.
It's not a Democrat Republican thing. It's a rich, powerful
Yeah.
men thing.
Hey,
I
my
think it
name
was
is Rich. What the heck did I do?
What'd you say, Rich?
Said I am rich. What did I do?
Look, I think it was Cal
I was
Kuklinski.
not. I don't even know where that island is. Come on
When a
now.
person gets to $1 billion, their soul just rots out of their body.
I don't think they let,
Damn, bro.
I don't think they let anybody with as cool a beard as you have, Rich,
You don't really
on
think that, do
Epstein's
you?
Island.
Because
Why do
we
you think I
talked
brush
about
every
this the
day?
other
Good
day,
for
and
you.
I don't really think
partner.
that is a rule.
No, I'm like, if that can't be the case.
There
I
is a
mean,
very suspicious pattern there, though.
sure, but I don't know. I don't think that everybody who makes $1 billion did that because like they weren't doing something to earn it. or that are
I do.
coming
I
up
don't
there.
think anybody made $1 billion and like and didn't exploit other people.
I know a lot of business
Well,
people.
what does it
Most
mean
of
to
them are
exploit
not straight.
someone? Give them a job?
No, I mean, like I think I just don't think that you can make a bit. Do you know how much? I mean, like we have no understanding of how much $1 billion
I
is.
have an idea.
I don't. I mean, like I can't
What?
even imagine how.
Jamie's that rich?
I got some concepts in my mind.
But I don't think that. And
I think about
me,
it because, like, again, it's another one of these things. It's like, I don't think, if you can serve a lot of people, then you can make a lot of money. And I don't think you get that by not serving a lot of people's needs. I just don't think that's the case.
yeah,
So, and in
that
the
you have
meantime,
to.
But
like,
what
Well,
there's a
the,
lot
about but
that comes out of
but
it.
don't the needs matter? Like the needs you're serving matters. Like if you're like the drug cartels, they're serving a need in multiple societies, and they're billionaires easy, right? Now they might
I'm not
not.
talking about that. I'm saying you don't have to be unethical to make $1 billion. And I think the mindset that you have to be is like, I don't know, it's really limited.
I don't really think so either. Like you can just create a product
Yeah.
that a lot of people
You can
love.
be evil and make money, sure, but you don't have to be. You could
yeah,
also do
look
a
at
lot of good.
SpaceX. So the
But when
Elon
you
Musk
have a
company,
billion dollars,
SpaceX, just from
yeah,
Starlink alone, they bring in $900 million a month.
yeah, and Elon has no charitable organization that he sponsors whatsoever. He is the richest man in the world, and he
I
does
think he
nothing.
does. I
Like
don't.
he could end world hunger.
Yeah,
Uh,
but he's
like
got a problem with lust and he has so many baby mamas and little bastard kids to take care of.
Dude,
but he
it,
does.
yeah, he has more than enough to take care of them.
And he
You know
like
my Elon Musk kids?
and he's
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got enough.
he's also got connections to like government contracts that most normal people would not.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
because
got
he owns one of the world's like largest rocket company in the world. That's where a lot of those government
that's
contracts come
because he actually probably bought helped buy the election for Trump, so Trump let him have whatever he wanted
from.
when he got.
I mean, that's
So
that's not necessarily fair because so the government has programs where if you have ideas, right, like legitimate ideas, blueprints and a whole plan, they can offer you a lot of money to implement that if it's going to be for the betterment of the people, right? And so they'll give you loans and you can figure out the deal when it comes to like the property rights or whatever, right? But the government does have that program, and Elon Musk is just, he was just another guy who was moderately wealthy who took advantage of that program, got a ton of taxpayer dollars to build out, three of his companies, and made a lot of money from those companies. Now, unfortunately,
SpaceX is
they
mostly
don't.
privately funded. We only got a small percentage of the taxpayer money went into SpaceX.
And
I
Only
go
his
look in, go look into how much money he actually um spent to start up those companies and
yeah, he
maintain
spent
them for the first 50.
$100 million to of his own money to start up SpaceX and almost went broke. He had like the final rocket just out of random parts, and if that one wouldn't have made it to orbit, then never would have made it. Went bankrupt, and then he
It,
had NASA contracts to build the Falcon 9 booster, which if
he
you guys have any
when
idea
he
how
first
much.
started those, he didn't have all of that. None of that is his
Yeah,
money.
he sold PayPal for
Yeah,
150
I think
million
he made a lot of
dollars.
his money when he sold PayPal.
Yeah, PayPal's where he made his fortune, and then with 100 million of that, he invested in SpaceX.
Oh, even
I don't know the
before,
history of Tesla.
no, what I'm saying, even before then, right? He was a millionaire. I mean, part of so
Well,
the
his parents were pretty wealthy, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
Wasn't
but his parent, his yes, but
he's
to be
gotten
fair,
38 billion in government contracts, loans, tax credits, and subsidies over
yeah,
two
it's
decades. 38
yeah,
billion.
but to be fair
yeah,
with Musk though,
because he,
he didn't start out necessarily. Him and his brother, they actually developed companies, and they were profitable, and they sold the companies and they kept reinvesting that money, and then
Yeah,
eventually they got the
the
government
ones that they
contracts.
just did.
Now, he ran into an issue because him and his brother was in the country illegally, right? And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
then, through the Canadian side of it, his their family, right? They took advantage of that, and they eventually got permanent residency and citizenship. I mean, they could have just bought their citizenship, to be honest with you, because there are programs for that are like that as well,
Now, gold cards. Yes.
right? But ultimately, right, the smart thing he did, and I think it was a brilliant idea, was that he realized that the U.S. needed two very important things: electric cars and rockets, because they were depending on Russian rockets too much, and it was costing them too much money. So he presented a business plan to them, and he sunk a lot of money into it, right? And they approved it, and he got like a lot of
Well,
money over
the, the,
years
the
to build it.
commercial crew
Well, he
program
sounds like a very smart
when
man. Oh, sorry.
when the space shuttle was retired in 2011, we the only access we had to the International Space Station was from Russia rocket because there was no other orbital class rocket that could carry humans, to the ISS. And so what to save a bunch of not really say, but anyway,
It's to
there
save
were like
money.
four different companies that they put forward: Blue Origin, Boeing, SpaceX, and I don't remember what the other one was. During the commercial crew company to make a new capsule to so we could put human rate them again and put them to the International Space Station. And Elon Musk did it best with his reusable rockets. For example, the Falcon 9 booster, since they can reuse the most expensive part of the rocket, the space shuttle was able to get 1 kilogram to low Earth orbit for roughly $35,000. Elon Musk, with his reusable rocket, you can put the same kilogram to low Earth orbit for $3,500. So a complete tenfold change. And that's why SpaceX is booming, is because it's so much cheaper than any other option out there because he can reuse the technology.
Okay,
And
Yeah,
we have though 10,000 people who starve to death every day in the world.
yeah,
10,000 every day.
yeah.
Why are we spending in massive amounts of money to go to space? I don't
Okay,
understand
so
that.
let me quantify that for you. So the budget, NASA's budget, is less than 1/2 of 1% of the entire U.S. budget.
Yeah,
So
but
you
we're
can take money from anywhere
subsidizing him.
else. I mean,
We're
so
subsidizing him though. That's not on NASA's budget. Those subsidies don't come from NASA's budget.
yeah,
a
those are
good
directly
portion of
to
anything that
to.
goes to SpaceX pretty much comes from NASA's budget.
No, 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 it doesn't.
The
So
contracts are different.
anyway, getting back to the 10,000 starving people, there's many other ways. Instead of just blaming, the space company, Walmart, for example, if they tithe and gave 10%, you can get rid of all poverty, all hunger, and all that stuff. You can't just blame it on Elon Musk.
No, I
The
agree. It's
Bible
not
says
just him.
God
It's
gave
all
us
bigger.
dominion over the earth. It's not God's problem. We have the power and the authority to cure world hunger all over the planet.
I
But
agree.
we choose to be selfish and greedy and keep it for ourselves and buy bigger yachts,
Well, the Bible says that the poor are always going to be with us. So
Yeah.
that's not going to be something that we escape.
I got to mute
But
my
does
mic.
it?
With
But
Nobody's
us.
talking for me. Okay.
So we
but
should accept world hunger just because.
No, but to think that it would ever end, I think is too much of a dream.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
just
I think
because
that.
it'll never end, it doesn't necessarily mean it's something that we shouldn't address. I mean, for the same
Yeah, both
reasons.
can be true.
How about instead of funding a war in Ukraine, we cure world hunger?
We're not. We're not.
Well,
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know
like
that we can
We
cure
did
it
have.
because things are going to happen.
We did
Like,
have a
How
treaty
about instead of
signed.
funding transgender research in Iraq, we cure world hunger? There are many other reasons we can take the tax, or many other places we can take the tax dollars from instead of NASA.
So
You
how much
can't
was
keep
that? How much was that? Like I'm not opposed to
what
NASA. I'm just
you,
saying,
you
why are
could
we
you could.
spending this amount and these enormous amounts
I
of
think there
money?
was like $53 million spent on transgender research in Iraq in
Let
I
me
think that's
see. I'm
one of
gonna
the
look
things that
that up.
goes uncovered.
I'm gonna look that up because I don't trust right wing
Don't
sources, and
them,
I feel like you listen to them a
of course,
lot.
yeah. I mean, of course not. You know,
No, because I
just
found
as
them to
much
be
as I
very
trust.
dishonest.
I found liberals to be very dishonest
I
also.
mean, let's be real. The mainstream media
I, I,
sucks.
I
Not
don't trust it
here on
because
the internet instead of watching the TV right now.
um, I don't. It isn't because they're right wing that I don't trust them. It's because I've investigated what they purport, like and it's dishonest. They
Yeah, I don't
purport.
trust the communist news network either.
Yeah,
Nobody's a
you get all
communist.
your
I'm not a
news from X.
communist.
Okay, here it was. Is $15.4 million is awarded to the LGBTQ LMNOP plus grants in the Middle East and North Africa in 2021 and 2022.
Okay, North Africa and stuff like, and what does
Yeah.
that? That's not just LGTB.
Oh, whatever.
LGBTQ is not just
But the
trans.
point was, is instead of always attacking NASA, you can take money from dumber things in the world to cure world hunger. That's what the point I guess I was trying to make. You know.
Look, all you need is X.com. Sign up for a little account, and then you can also watch Jesse Lee Peterson in the morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific
Well,
Standard Time, and then afterwards you can watch the Hake Report.
so why is it that the government should give someone 30 plus $1 billion to make to get rich off of, to the point where he's worth over $300 billion, and you not get your tax money back? How does
Yeah,
that make sense?
because
I missed part of that. I was
that's what they
watching
value.
Christian
People
Type
give
Cheers
money to
cooking.
what they value. Getting us the rockets was more valuable than getting me my tax refund bigger.
I can't tell if
Well,
you're
well,
serious, but
Daddy
that
for
shit
those
is
of
government
you
funny.
guys
said
who
no,
don't
not
know,
this time.
for those of you guys who don't know, Donald
Elon
Trump,
Musk is
through
building
tariffs this
Daddy a
year,
new
is giving
rocket,
everybody
and Daddy wants
$2,000
his
on their tax return.
rockets.
Just in case
Daddy
you
wants a
didn't.
new rocket.
What $2,000? What's the $2,000?
Donald Trump this year from tariffs is giving every citizen, I think it's under nine, whoever makes under $90,000 a year, an extra $2,000 on their tax return this year.
I know you. Oh,
What?
okay. I've already done my taxes, and there was no such credit on there. But maybe me next year. But I'm gonna. I don't know if you're a betting man because you're a Christian, but I would be willing to bet you my $2,000 that we don't get it.
I'll need to go back through my
What is
text
Berta Pike
messages.
doing?
That's what I was wondering. It looks like he's chewing out his kids or something. I wish I could,
I'm
unmute
sorry.
my.
Me and Tammy are talking about trying. It's complicated, but we're not chewing up the kids.
She's telling him what to say.
I'm just saying, man. If like Musk is like, in terms of like the government investment, right? That's not even like the highest you'll see when it comes to like weapons manufacturers. They pretty much get blank checks,
Yeah.
right? Like they're using your tax, they're using tax dollars, and it's like they don't even pay taxes on whatever money they make, first of all, from the government, and their shareholders, because they're publicly funded, right? The shareholders are the only ones that benefit at the end of the day. The American taxpayer is not benefiting from that investment. It's only
Right.
politicians and corporations and owners of corporations.
Agree.
And shareholders.
Yeah, they're the owners of the corporations.
Hey, so if I have shares, then I'm an owner.
Yeah, technically. Now
Yeah.
how much
So
how
you're, but
much
you talking smack about me then?
SpaceX is going public here in a couple months. I mean, if you want to cut that $900 million a month to get off of Starlink, I'd invest.
right?
Hey, can I address the date? I don't know what it is. DVids 85.
Sure.
Yeah,
He
which
did.
one?
He
Go ahead.
said Jesse Lee Peterson and Hake, and then he made a sick emoji.
Well, what's that mean?
That's just a disgusting remark.
Wow.
I wanted to say I didn't need you didn't need to say that.
Yeah.
That hurt my feelings.
Who's your favorite president, people? Tell me your favorite. I go between, well, Lincoln is my number one, but outside of him and George Washington, I like the man who started the idea of the teddy bear, Teddy V. Roosevelt.
Yeah, yeah. He was pretty cool. But I need to think for a minute. Who's my favorite president of all
Come
time?
on, I know your favorite president, Terry. It's Obama.
Obama.
Because she's a liberal. Yeah.
Um,
Are y'all laughing at me right now?
No, we
No,
were
I
not laughing at
that's
you.
We're
not
trying to solve the
funny.
world's problems over here.
we confirmed that Terry's favorite president is Obama.
Oh,
No, no, no.
I'm so
Like,
upset.
Obama's not even my favorite president, actually, either. So, uh,
look, all I know, Dean, all I know after reading those files is they're eating the people. Okay? I'm sure of this.
Yeah,
I know
not
they're eating
just
the
the
people. They
dogs
may be
I knew
drinking
about
the
that
people.
too.
Yeah, not just the dogs and cats. What
I
the sad
saw
thing about those
like
files
an old.
is
I've
the
seen
girl
like other former witches talk about it. They'll go to parties and they'll be like,
Oh, yeah, they're eating the
"Oh
people.
yeah, they were eating. There was a man on the table," and I started freaking out. And they were like, "No, you can't. You can't. You need to calm down because people are trying to have a good time. You're gonna ruin it." And like she's just like, "But that's the man's body."
Come on, Terry. You wouldn't want to go to the Bohemian Grove.
They're drinking the people,
No,
Dean.
that's for gay guys.
Hey, Dan went there. Did you know that? Hey, oh, did you know that Dan
That's my
actually used
favorite.
to work?
Nixon said it was.
Dan used to
Oh,
work
sorry.
at the Bohemian Grove. Yeah,
I'm not a crook.
when he was young. When he was young, yes, he knew all them people.
Mm,
Dan Newman or Dan Pazzi?
Dan Pawsey, President Pawsey,
Okay,
actually had been there back when he was
I
younger.
would believe it of either of them.
I thought you were gonna say his name was in the Epstein files.
No, Dan. No, no, no.
No, the Proverbs guys are not in the files.
Yes, they are not in the files.
Aim higher, guys.
I apologize. I'm making a funny. But yeah, Terry, who's your favorite
I make it
president?
too
I'm
silly
sorry.
sometimes. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite because I'll say one and then I'll be like, oh no, this one. But I said Nixon a moment ago, but I don't know. Just interesting guy, I suppose. But I don't know if he's really my favorite.
Okay, okay.
And then I don't know. I like Teddy too.
I like John Adams.
Yeah, he
But
was
hey,
very anti-slavery.
Bitcoin is in free fall. Are you going to be
Do you know
okay?
why Bitcoin is in free fall, Terry?
Uh,
It
no,
was,
Jake just came and said that I didn't even know.
it was in the files.
Bitcoin in the
You know
files?
who started Bitcoin?
No, I
It
don't
was
know
the
anything.
boy.
It was who?
It was Mr. Epstein.
Really?
He done everything. Everything in history he done, it turns out. He done it all. He
Wow.
killed Caesar. He done everything. This man done it all.
He did live quite a life, didn't he?
I
And he
mean,
may still be alive to this day.
he drank the
To this
people.
day?
He
Dean,
drank the people.
listen, you're not supposed to do that. Okay. He's out here just drinking them, cavalier, willy nilly, just drinking the people.
Well, I mean, it's easy to see why he died because with all the big names that came out in the files, there's multiple people that probably would have wanted to see him
I got theories about
um,
that too.
I mean, listen,
balanced.
there's only one person who had all the incentive in the world at that
Dean's got
time to make
theories
No,
about
sure he.
no, but actually, there's not one. I mean, like one person had more accessibility to it, but I would say that
Mhm.
there's a lot of people who had a
a lot of
reason.
people of a certain demographic, Robin.
Well, I mean, like but I can't. I don't know if there's any connection to that, but I
A
know
lot of
that.
people organized into 12 subcategories of people.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people in the files that are very rich and powerful people. that like Peter Thiel and um,
The Clintons,
yeah, but
Trump.
yeah, Clinton's is probably not as rich as some of those other people, but they are probably pretty well off. But
Somebody said the Pope was in it.
no, the Pope was not.
He might be though, Robin. He might be.
John Stewart, actually, his name was mentioned one time, but it wasn't because he was there. It was somebody was like said that they would they would like to do some kind of thing and have John Stewart like do the commentary or something like that. And he was like, Sam Harris was mentioned in there, but not because he had been to the island, but because they were talking about his book.
I
But
have gone down the rabbit hole now because I've been down all of them, obviously. And the one that I've gone down most recently is the Epstein organized the 2008 economic crash.
Uh, yeah, I mean, listen, it's there's some horrifyingly powerful people in this world, and like that wealth, especially when they're like not necessarily in the public eye, right? Like they pretty much just get away with anything. I mean, it wasn't what's the name of that royal prince that was like his name was attached, and they found that he settled like a ton of lawsuits, and they removed his inheritance, like he can never become king. Like that's how bad, and that's like a super slap on the wrist, right? For all intents and
Yeah, I
purposes,
mean,
he should be
what
locked
should the
up.
consequences be for eating the people? You know, like, hey, you're eating the people, so you lose your Costco membership.
Vegans wouldn't complain.
I'm just saying, like, there's got to be more to it. Like, you can't just eat the people and get a slap on the wrist. Like, it said that George Bush Sr. was eating that guy's feet, Dean. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's
We as a society can't tolerate our leaders eating the feet of others. That's all I'm saying.
don't get me started on his on conspiracies when it comes to him, his dad. Basically, the son finished the job that the dad told him to do.
We're talking about conspiracies
Ultimately,
now, Dean. Listen, I know, I know you thought you knew about conspiracies, but allow me to enlighten you, my brother. So, have you ever heard? Have you ever heard the one about how Barbara Bush is definitely Aleister Crowley's daughter? Have you heard that one? Because in light of these files, all conspiracies of all time are true. And so there's lizard people, this whole world's flat, etc. So now we know that Barbara Bush is Aleister Crowley's daughter.
dude, one of the ones, and I don't really think it's true,
But they're all
but
true now.
Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer.
That might be true now.
Ted
Okay,
Cruz,
I
Ted Cruz is such a spineless person. I can't see him killing
He's a
anybody.
little bit ditzy to be a brilliant serial killer. Um, but you know they're all true now, so sure, sure he is.
I'm sure someone saw Epstein as a nice, upstanding citizen.
He
Lawrence
was just
Krauss
family over
did.
them people.
Actually, Lawrence Krauss did. Lawrence Krauss, like, and Noam Chomsky, obviously.
God, Noam Chomsky. That
Yeah,
one got me.
yeah, it did me too.
Like, did you hear the thing about Bill Gates trying to slip his wife chlamydia medication without her knowing about it?
Well, like I already knew that Bill Gates' wife divorced him after she
Look,
met
Jamie knows what's
Epstein.
up.
Anyway, after she met Epstein, she divorced him because she just kind of knew what was up. Like she was kind of grossed out by, like, yeah,
There is a difference though in eating the people with a regularity versus dabbling on occasion.
yeah. There were people who
Yeah,
went
you got
there
to eat a toenail.
because he was a rich and powerful guy with a lot of partying, and he tried to go out of his way to make friends with people who were famous and stuff like that. And um, not everybody had to know about it, but You know, when you're mentioned, like I think Lawrence Krauss is mentioned like almost 6,000 times or something.
He was out there solving the mysteries of the world. All right. Whew, Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know, why was Stephen Hawking on the island? You ever wonder that? You know what I mean?
Because Epstein went out of his way to try to get to know people like that, would invite him there, and like at that time nobody knew what was going on except for like the people that were involved in it. But
Robin, you're not thinking like a conspiracy theorist right now.
yeah, I
I
don't think.
saw
We're here for fun, Robin. This is about fun. You know what I mean?
I saw a picture on Facebook yesterday of a picture of Richard Dawkins having lunch with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if it was AI generated,
No,
but
that's
it
a
was
real picture. They were at some
a real
public
picture.
luncheon thing.
Oh, geez.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Dawkins myself anyway, so I'm not going to defend him either.
Yeah, I am because I love The Selfish Gene. I think it's such a great book.
The
And
Selfish Gene, is that an actual book title?
what's that, Rich?
The Selfish Gene, is that an actual book title?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was. The book is the in the '70s where he invented the concept of memes in society, which people don't realize that Richard Dawkins actually invented that concept,
I
and
didn't know.
it's a very
Coined
interesting
that
book. I
word.
always loved
Yes,
it.
coined that word meme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a really great science read, and I just hate that that picture came out.
Well, like
When
he
Dawkins
he
and
one
Epstein.
time he one time said some stuff about like when he was younger and he was in school, there was a teacher that did some
Yeah,
inappropriate,
about
and
that.
he said that that was okay.
Yeah,
Like
she
that was
said
a
that.
very disturbing
But
comment by
can't
him.
we go back to the he wrote thriller concept? Like, don't some people still get a pass? Is that just
Um,
me? Okay, I'm gonna withdraw that. Tammy's giving me the eye.
I give
It's on the internet. It's there
I give you
forever.
a
You
pass,
can't withdraw it.
and I give all three of y'all a pass here. I,
Appreciate it, Robin.
Oh, so Tammy's telling me that Trump is announcing that he's going to rededicate America uh, to Satan. I'm assuming, but we're going to have a rededication ceremony here pretty soon.
Well, it was
yay!
the 250th anniversary of the country, so they're going to do some political thing regardless of who's in office. So,
That's true. But we're doing this for fun, Rich. This is about fun.
Yay!
yeah, I don't know how to have fun, unfortunately.
Rich, are you ready to go? Um, I
I,
think
I'm a little sleepy. I'm out of things to say and kind of waiting on you guys.
No,
I'm
I'm done
Um,
too. I don't want to hold you.
I'm probably ready to shut down. And I appreciate everybody that came. This was fun with Steven and stuff. And um, yeah,
Y'all be blessed and don't eat the people.
Okay, later.
Good night, guys.